Our PS5 experiences remain excellent. We predict the winners of the Game Awards 2020, and at long last, Cyberpunk 2077 is upon us. Ladies and gentlemen, this is episode 253 of the It's Obvious podcast. My name's Garrett Drake. I'm joined online by Jacob Alka.
Garrett, we didn't have a clap.
That's fine. I can sync it up later.
Okay. Well, I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Actually, if you want to do a little behind the scenes number, it would make my life just a hair easier if we did clap.
Yeah.
So everyone who's been a guest on the podcast knows we do this. And I'm sure people who do podcasts do some form of a syncing process. But this is what we do. Gentlemen, we're going to clap. 1, 2, 3, go. You ready?
Yes.
All right. 1, 2, 3, go. There it is. All right.
There it is.
Anyway, we're also joined online by Preston Pugh.
Good afternoon, boys.
Oh, yeah. It has been too long. Thankfully, I've been able to talk to Preston. Actually, I think Preston and I spoke extensively for the first time in a couple of weeks. Was it last night or the night before, Preston?
I think it was the night before last.
Okay, not that the time matters, but yeah, Preston and I hadn't really had a conversation
It's very
in a while.
important to know exactly which night
the exact time and date, exactly where we were, what we were
really
wearing, what we'd eaten that day. But Jacob and I haven't spoken really at all since the last episode, so it's great to be reunited with you both.
Yeah.
And I cannot wait to talk many things about video games today. Just wild news in the industry, of course, the Game Awards, exciting games on the horizon, of course, all the great stuff we've been playing. But and life in general, we're nearing the end of the year, the end of one of the craziest years of everyone's lives on the face of the earth collectively, which is both sad and kind of special at the same time. We've all endured this crazy year together. And I'm sure we're going to have many reflective discussions on, of course, video games, but just life in general towards the end of this month. But where you are right now in your lives, how have you been? What have you been up to? Love to hear from you.
How about I go first? I've been okay. Over the last month or so, I would say I had some just weird problems. I've just been having back pains and then this last week I had a tailbone pain, which is really strange, but I'm finally recovering from all that. So that feels really good. I feel like I can just wake up and not be hurting for whatever reason, which is just nice. So I don't know if I've been just moving wrong or if I'm just not getting enough sleep or something, whatever it is. But I'm finally starting to actually feel normal, which is great. So, and because of that, I'm getting back into the gym, starting to lift a little more weight, which feels good, which has an effect on me. Cause I don't know, whenever I don't feel like I can work out as effectively as I want to or can, it sort of just messes with me. It makes me feel like I'm not, pushing myself enough, even though I'm sometimes physically shouldn't be because I don't feel good. So it's just been interesting sort of going through that. And this whole year, actually, it's been the first year of my life where I've actually felt just not young anymore, which is weird to say because I still feel young for the most part. But, I think we're finally starting to get to that age where we're starting to feel some pains just from not being as young as we used to be, or at least in my case, that's how it feels. But feeling good today, which is good. And overall, just been working a lot. Set up my Christmas tree back there, as you can see. I'm sort of blocking it with my head. But that was fun. Did that all day yesterday. I was literally rocking around the Christmas tree while listening to Rocking Around the Christmas Tree. It was great. But besides that, like I said, just been working and been watching Mandalorian. The last few days I've been watching The Other Guys, which is a funny movie. It's the second time that I've seen it, but it's always a classic to rewatch. And what else have I been doing? Just been playing a lot of video games, playing a lot of World of Warcraft Shadowlands in particular. But I will talk about more of that later. How are you guys doing?
Well, Jacob, everything you shared is great for the most part. I'm glad you're feeling better, but I guess this is really just growing up because I really haven't had pains per se, but I've had many energy issues. I think it's those 4 years I spent in college just not sleeping for 4 years straight finally caught up with me. Yeah. And my body finally was able to tell me you literally cannot function properly without at least 6 hours of sleep. Mm-hmm. I struggle big time these days if I don't get enough sleep. That's one thing I can relate to in just terms of getting older. And it's kind of sad. I mean, Lord willing, we're only a quarter of a way through our lives. But it's kind of sad to think that we're already experiencing the pains of growing older at merely 30 years old.
Yeah.
To round up for both of us. But I'm glad you're doing well, Jacob. I hear the world's rejoicing, at least the WoW community's rejoicing over the Shadowlands expansion. So I look forward to hearing your thoughts on that as well.
I mean, it's not perfect, but it's so much better than the last expansion, which is just really exciting. And I said this once, and I'll say it again. I'm actually playing the expansion this time instead of like farming for appearances or mounts. So like I'm just playing the game differently.
You are playing the video game World of Warcraft Shadowlands.
Yeah. It's like I'm not just like logging in to sit around and wait for something to spawn and then kill it and then not get what I want and then do it again the next day. Like I'm actually just doing different activities. Like I'm playing the game as the developers designed it to be played, which is nice.
That's a great thing, Jacob. I certainly have grind stories of my own to share in this episode of the podcast.
I look forward to hearing them.
Which I finally came to the conclusion I hate grinding more than anything else on the face of the earth when it comes to video games, dude. I can't stand it.
Man, we're so
I know
different.
it's sometimes necessary and like I can take it in small doses, but for the most part, I hate grinding.
Mm-hmm.
But big shout out to the other guys as well. I watched that again not too long ago, probably like 3 or 4 months ago.
Nice.
And that is just a totally underrated comedy. I know
It's so
Preston has a lot of
dumb.
appreciation for it too.
It's so like ridiculous.
It's great.
There's so many good quotes in that movie, dude. I mean, I my first one I always think of is when they find Will Ferrell's car and the homeless guy left a note behind. It's like, thanks for the F Shack, signed Dirty Mike and the boys. So good.
Yeah, I really like Will Ferrell in that movie. I think it's one of his better ones. And a lot of people don't talk about it enough.
He and Mark Wahlberg have a great dynamic.
Mhm.
They're really good in, I think it's called like The Stepdad or something. I can't remember what that movie is, where Mark Wahlberg's like the real father to the kids that Will Ferrell adopted and like marrying into that family. I can't remember what the movie's called, but it's pretty funny.
Mhm.
Yeah, the first one was pretty good. Not a big fan of the second one.
I haven't seen it. The second one has Mel Gibson in it, doesn't it?
Yeah, Mel Gibson is Mark Wahlberg's dad, and man, I forget who Will Ferrell's dad is, but yeah, it's not that good, and it's called Daddy's Home, I believe.
That's right.
Yeah,
I hate that name.
yeah. Well, Garrett, anything else going on?
I was hoping to hear from you, Preston.
Oh, nothing much for me, honestly, man. I've just been working and playing video games. That's pretty much it. Just, nothing really too eventful has gone on in my life for the most part. So just been super busy.
Yeah.
Work keeping steady.
Oh yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, work is more than steady.
I bet business is booming with everything going on.
Yeah.
And the work you do.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's a lot of late nights, a lot of early mornings, just a lot of work. So
I can appreciate seasons of life when like work is so grueling, but like you're accomplishing a lot, and it isn't like tedious, like time killing tasks. It's like legit objectives you have to complete. That's like very satisfying types of work to me.
yeah,
If that's how it feels.
Yeah, thankfully there's a lot to look forward to with the holidays. With Thanksgiving just happened, and Christmas coming up, so it's always nice to when you're at work, working hard and stuff. There's it's nice to have something to look forward to with holidays and video games and stuff. So keeps you sane,
Oh yeah,
I agree. Did you guys have a good Thanksgiving? We haven't really spoken since before then. I had a really good Thanksgiving. Our turkey, we smoked our turkey. It was phenomenal. It was
Are you gonna fillet your finger open this year?
I didn't, thankfully, and I wasn't alone this Thanksgiving either.
Nice.
So it was great.
Yeah, I had a good Thanksgiving. It was very low key, just because of all the COVID stuff going on. My uncle and his fiance came over, and that was pretty much it. So it was just not a lot of people, a lot of food though, a lot of good food. So that was really good. But yeah, it was good.
Yeah, we had 8 people for Thanksgiving, so not very many either. It's pretty low key.
Nice.
What about you, Garrett?
For Thanksgiving?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was just my sister's actually with her boyfriend at his parents' house. So it was just me, my parents, my mom's aunt and uncle.
Nice.
So also pretty low key, but it was good.
Nice.
So thankful to have family to spend time with, of course, and good food.
Mm. So we have to bring this up because we always talk about it. What was the best pie that you guys had?
My mom made a homemade pecan pie, and it was incredible.
Okay. I did an interesting pecan pie, actually. My mom ordered this special pie. So it was a cheesecake with a layer of pecan pie on top of it. And
I'm into that.
It was really good. I was surprised how good it was.
That's just
amazing.
Fine with me.
And it made me a fan of pecan pie for one day. I'll say that.
Whatever, man.
Pecan pie is pretty good. I've come over to the pecan pie side.
It's great.
For sure.
We had a brownie pie as well. That was also very good.
Better.
Yeah. It was not way better, actually, but it was good.
Jacob would ask him for some minty frosting on that.
No, I would not. Again, that's my dad. It's not me. I just like frosty things, like York peppermint
like the
patties.
Cosmo brownies.
Cosmo brownies. They're not minty at all, but I do like those.
Yeah, I love York peppermint patties.
Mm-hmm.
Those are great.
They're nice.
We had pumpkin pie and a very mediocre apple pie from the store.
Oh,
it was one of those bad situations where the apples were too crunchy.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
store-bought apple pie is just so mediocre.
Yeah, it's super. I mean, that's what's amazing is that Popeyes is a fast food chain that makes unbelievably good apple pie.
Oh, really?
But you think like a bakery at a store could make a pretty good apple pie, but it's pretty rare.
You would think. Well, you don't know how long they're sitting out, too.
Exactly, dude. At least the Popeyes ones, they show up frozen, presumably, but they throw it in the fryer just before they give it to you. So it's, it tastes somewhat fresh and is very
just
hot.
Caked in cinnamon and sugar.
Yeah, exactly.
So over at we always have fantastic apple pies at our Thanksgiving because my uncle is obsessed with apple pie. He's obsessed with two things: the Steelers and apple pie. And every Thanksgiving we usually experience
red-blooded American.
Yes. And so I had a really great apple pie along with the cheesecake pecan pie that we had, and I also had one slice of pumpkin pie. So I had 3 slices of pie. So I had a lot of pie, but it was
not a
good
big fan of pumpkin pie, honestly. It's fine. Yeah. Like if you present me a slice, I'll nibble at it, but I'm not going to go out of my way to get a slice.
I'm by no means going to finish the whole slice.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I'll probably finish it, but I'm not going to go out of my way to get one, you know?
Do you guys put Cool Whip on?
Oh, got to.
I don't.
I have to. I have to take... I don't like a full blast of pumpkin flavor. I like to have something to offset it.
I feel that.
So
I see where you're coming from.
Yeah, and I'm definitely not a big fan of like pumpkin spice things or anything. Just really not a big fan of pumpkin anything.
There's this where I used to work now, a coffee shop I think it's called like Moonlight Coffee or something. Moonbird is what it was called, and they were not infamous. They were famous for their pumpkin spice latte, and I thought that was just kind of silly when I heard that. I'm like, pumpkin spice latte is what they're famous for? I'm like, that's weird. It's such a seasonal thing anyway. Well, I went there and naturally had to try it because that's what they're famous for, and it is unlike any pumpkin spice latte I've ever had in my life. It isn't like full-on pumpkin. There's just something about it, like this cinnamon twinge to it that just makes it so delicious. It's like drinking like a hot bowl of it's going to sound gross, but bear with me. It's like, the milk after you eat Cinnamon Toast Crunch? It's basically that flavor in coffee.
Okay.
It was so delicious. I used to have that. I had it like once a week through all of October. But
that sounds good.
Pumpkin spice latte anywhere else doesn't really blow my mind, but Moonbird, man, they kill it. It's in Chamblee, Georgia.
I've never tried a pumpkin spice drink, but I bought this pumpkin spice candle one time, and it actually didn't smell that good. So that's my experience with this drink, this seasonal drink, and I'm not a fan. But Fair I do enough. Like peppermint mocha. I'll say that. Oh, I will buy those.
Yeah, you do you, Jacob. You be you.
You do your freakishly weird things.
Yeah. Well, anything else going on?
I had 2 kind of exciting things. I guess that contradicts when I said I had 0 exciting things. But
well, let's hear them.
I got a new phone.
Hey.
Welcome home, by the way. Welcome back home.
I'm back to iPhone, which I loved my Galaxy, but I had so many minor issues that the main one being I had a hard time for some reason texting with Jacob and also my sister. So no clue why. They were the only two people that couldn't send me like pictures or group texts or anything. Second of all, for some reason the Bluetooth in my Galaxy just wigged out when it was in my phone and would actually crash like the Bluetooth module in my car to where I would have to pull the spark plug out and plug it back in to get it working again. No clue why my phone was doing that, because haven't had any issues, with an iPhone previously or now. So, and the craziest thing is I probably use my phone 90% of the time to listen to podcasts, and the Google podcast app or whatever sucks so bad. It astounds me. The podcast will just stop. It will literally just stop, and it won't say buffering. It will just say unable to play. That's it. There's no reason. It's just like, we can't play. So you're like, okay. So you pull the app up and you push play again, and it reverts like 15 minutes previously from where you're listening. So it makes, so then even if you're driving or whatever, you can't, find where you were because you're freaking driving. So it just made listening to podcasts such an insane hassle. And I know you might think, well, get another podcasting app. I've had the exact same issues with my phone on Podbeam, Stitcher, and even Spotify. For some reason, this phone would just cut out. So,
do you have good service where you are?
Yeah, it wasn't a service issue. I would be on Wi-Fi, some of the times. And I've Googled the issue. I've seen Reddit posts where people have the same issue and there's no solution. They're just like, yep, it just happens. So I don't know. But again, I've had zero issues listening to the Apple podcasting app or whatever. And I got the new 12 and I like it. It's cool. I got the red version, which I've never had a phone that wasn't black. So it's kind of cool to have a red phone, I guess. But yeah, I like that. The other cool thing was I got a new TV as well.
Nice.
And I'm really enjoying it.
Is it one with a 2.1 HDMI?
Yes, it is.
Nice.
Yeah, I went to the website Ratings or Rtings, which is I don't know how to exactly say it, but it's spelled RTINGS, and they have hands down the most in-depth review process for displays like monitors and TVs. And I got one of their kind of cheaper recommended TVs in terms of like for what I want to use it for, like you said, with 2.1 and with bright HDR, because that was kind of the issue that I was having with my TV, and I don't know if it was faulty or it just kind of just was that way, is when I was playing at night and was in HDR game mode, it just was very, very just flat and just didn't pop. So I specifically went after a TV that had, really bright HDR, and this one looks really good. It's bigger than my other one. This one's 50 inches, which my other one was 43. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it.
Very nice, man. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, and with my 2.1, like you said, compatibility, I am finally able to actually plug my computer into my TV to play, some games that I typically use a controller for. Like I've been playing Assassin's Creed and Immortals, Fenyx Rising on my TV, and my old TV wasn't 2.1. So I was having the audio drop off because, it's getting a full 4K signal. It couldn't send the audio as well, but I've had no issues with this TV at all.
Yeah.
So yeah,
nice.
Really liking it. But those are two somewhat exciting things that happen.
Mm-hmm. Very nice, dude. I want a new TV.
Yeah, well, I mean, this one's great. It's a Hisense, which I always just assumed were really cheap, but like I said, the review for this one was really, really good. They gave it like a 7.8 out of 10, and like the best gaming TV that's on there. Like if you just search for like overall, like, doesn't even matter what the price is, they gave it like an 8.2 or 4. So it's not like they're handing out like 10s or something. So for this one being a 7.8, it's a pretty good rating. And for the price, it was awesome too. I think it was like $450. Like it wasn't even
what?
Yeah, it wasn't insane. And like I said, it looks great. It's a really, really good TV, especially for the price. So
Did you say what brand it was?
it's a Hisense.
Hisense.
It's like a Hisense H.
I think I had a TV by them a while ago,
or something like that. If you're interested, I can send you what it was. But
yeah, just out of curiosity, I wanted to ask, like, compared to I know you and I had the same TV for many years.
Yeah.
What's like the major like standout differences between what I have or what you used to have now and the new one you have?
It's HDMI 2.1, which accepts like full on the new HDMI stuff. Like I should know more about this since it's my job, but it's like the new HDMI standard. It's able to transmit a higher frame rate and an image over HDMI, and it is got a brighter picture.
Sweet.
That's pretty much the main reason I really even got it, is because for like HDR gaming, it's just significantly brighter than the TV that we had.
Sweet.
So.
And you said this is a 55-inch?
It's a 50-inch.
Cool. That's still. What do we have? What do I have currently? I can never remember.
43-inch.
Okay.
It's definitely bigger. It's only like 7 inches, but it is. If I would have gone any bigger, because I was originally looking at a 55-inch, it would have been longer than my entertainment center. And those two stacks of like game towers I have on the sides of my TV.
Yeah.
I would have had to have moved those if I went over, because the TV would have physically been hitting those. But the size of this TV, it's like at 2 or 3 inches from hitting those towers, so fits perfect.
Cool.
So
I'm definitely interested. That sounds great.
Yeah, for sure. It's I've had no complaints thus far. It's a good TV.
Nice. Yeah, I wish gaming cards like the new ones were in stock, because I would love to invest right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think I'd have to upgrade like my entire case and everything. That was the problem, because those like significantly bigger than like the standard 1080 I have right now.
No, the 3090 is freaking insanely big, but so maybe for that. But I think if you got like a 3070 or a 3080, I think you'll be fine. But they just released a 3060 Ti like a few days ago, which is on par with a 2080 Super.
Nice.
And that's only $400.
Man, that's amazing.
Yeah, so it is amazing. The only massive problem is you can't find one.
Right.
That's
that's so
the main issue. It's just
like,
everything.
I'm not dying for a new card. I'd really like one, but I imagine I don't feel the same as people who like really want a PS5 and can't find those anywhere. But I can sort of like relate to a sense like what that kind of feels like, because it's like you can't. I mean, I haven't really searched hard for one, but it sucks for sure.
Yeah, I followed the PC Gamer and an NVIDIA Reddit, and man, there are people on there losing their minds trying to find one of these cards. They are just nowhere.
I bet especially just because Cyberpunk is days away.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's probably why demand's even higher.
For sure.
So
you guys want to talk about what games we've been playing?
Let's talk about some video games.
I have quite a few.
Yeah, what have you guys been playing?
Who wants to go first?
I guess I can go first since I'm already talking so much.
Rustin's going first.
Here I go. Just to kind of run through them real quick. Still playing Persona 5 Royal.
Which is why I haven't started it yet.
I am.
Yeah, sure.
I am on to the 5th palace. I'm about halfway through the 5th palace, and just got to a bunch of the twisty story stuff. Jacob, you know what I'm talking about?
I do, yeah.
So just past all that. Very interested to see when all the new stuff starts. I'm assuming it happens after this palace is when the new school semester starts, and I'm very interested to see how that even works following the events of like what is already going on. So yeah, but still trucking along through that. Playing Demon Souls, playing a decent amount of that, probably not as much as I should. I just kind of want to
have a nice in-depth discussion about that on air.
Yeah, you can probably get into it a lot more since you've actually beaten it, but I'm kind of trying to knock out some other things before I, completely dedicate myself to that game, because that is definitely not a good game to just be bouncing back and forth between, other things that play significantly different. Like I was playing Assassin's Creed and then playing Spider-Man and then playing Age of Calamity and then jumping into Demon Souls, and just the combat is so different, and like the button that you use to dodge is different, so I'm constantly messing up and stuff, just forgetting what button is the dodge button. So I kind of want to prevent that from happening anymore, and just kind of finish some other things before I jump into Demon Souls. But
Are you enjoying it?
Demon Souls?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, from what I've played, it's great. It's hard. It's definitely hard.
How many bosses you got?
I've beaten at least the first boss from every single zone thus far. So I'm I think I've maybe beaten the second one on 1 or 2. So I've, beaten a handful of bosses, but I wouldn't say that I'm like super far into the game. But mainly right now, if I were to give my entire backlog, I'd be talking for like an hour. But mainly right now, I think I've put down Valhalla, and that is
for good.
I think so, at least for now. And it's mainly because Immortals Fenyx Rising is just a much better game than Valhalla.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting.
I think it's way better, and I'm having so much more fun with that game than I have had at any point with Valhalla. And I had fun with Valhalla, but Immortals is really freaking fun. It's scratching that Breath of the Wild itch that I have. I think the combat is surprisingly challenging on hard mode, and I'm just enjoying the combat overall. I'm enjoying the exploration. I'm enjoying finding new armor and weapons. I'm enjoying the story. The writing's really good. Graphically, it's beautiful. Like I said, the world is just super fun to explore. It's just fun. So yeah, I'm honestly just enjoying it a lot more than Valhalla. It feels like an Assassin's Creed game without the Assassin's Creed crap shoved in it.
That's awesome.
And that's kind of what I feel like Assassin's Creed has turned into. It's just trying to be like this massive Witcher-like RPG, and then trying to shoehorn in Assassin's Creed themes into it. Whereas this game is very much it's like Assassin's Creed. Well, the new Assassin's Creed and Breath of the Wild kind of had a baby, and I just think it's a lot better. So it's definitely it's not as good as Breath of the Wild. Definitely in like the world itself, whereas Breath of the Wild, just the world is just, it just works. Like the systems just work with each other. Like fire will spread. If lightning strikes, that'll catch on fire, and then that'll cause wind, and that could blow this over. You know what I mean? There's just like a chain of events, whereas this game doesn't really have that. Especially when it comes to puzzles, which there are shrines in this game. I'm forgetting what they're called, but they're just holes you jump into that take you to little labyrinths that are sometimes combat based or sometimes puzzle based. And there aren't really multiple ways to solve the puzzles. You just kind of solve them how they're supposed to be solved. So that's different than Breath of the Wild. But there are some good puzzles that take advantage of the abilities that you have. You pretty much have Hercules, or they call him in this game Heracles, which I think is the correct way to say his name. But you have his gauntlet, which kind of is like the the magnet function on your Sheikah slate to where you can lift things up. So you use that to like move objects around and stuff. The platforming is surprisingly fun. It's very responsive. Like your double jump and your gliding are really fun. Yeah, I don't know. I could talk for a while about this game, but I definitely, if you want something Breath of the Wild like and are kind of craving something like that, definitely check this game out. And I'm playing it on Uplay Plus, so I didn't even buy the game. So definitely, if you play on PC, I would check it out for sure.
Nice. I was talking to Carlos Perez briefly on Discord last night, and we brought this game up, and he told me that when you play it on PS5, you know how like it has the triggers and like the cool things they're doing over there. Like whenever you let go of the arrow when you shoot it, like both I think triggers, he said, vibrate a little bit as if like the string is like vibrating after you let an arrow go. And I thought that was cool. Really cool. But you're playing it on PC, so I guess you wouldn't have any feedback on that. But I thought that was really cool. But that might be a game that I play on PS5 whenever I get around to it. Because it's not going to be anytime soon, because I know Cyberpunk's coming out this week. So that'll be something I jump into instead. But I imagine like early next year, I'd like to check out this game, because I've heard nothing but good things from almost everybody.
Yeah.
Including you.
It's really good. It's very jolly as well. Just very happy, very bright and colorful, especially, you know, some areas are more like brown and a little darker, especially like Hades area. But the first area I went to was Aphrodite's area, and it was just graphically super bright and colorful, and just a cool place to explore. But I've been playing that a lot. Pretty much that, Age of Calamity, and Persona 5 right now are what I'm knocking out. And I don't have too much to say about Age of Calamity. I'm really enjoying it. I'm enjoying it a lot more than I thought I would ever enjoy one of these types of games. Mainly because I just always assumed these Muso games were just like smashing the X button all the time, but at least this one is not like that. You know, you're using your Sheikah slate to combat these larger enemies, and the combos are satisfying to do, and I like how each character has different, you know, mechanics. Like I've been using Urbosa a lot, and she has this lightning gauge that you have to maintain, and you maintain it by holding down the right trigger or hitting the right trigger after you do a combo. So you can't do like her special attack, which pretty much what that is you have your light attack with X or with Y, and after, you know, 2 or 3 or 4 hits, you push the X button to do a special attack, and you can't do her special attacks unless you have, you know, her bar full. So that's kind of different. Whereas Link is just, you know, just a pretty basic character, but all the other ones have their, you know, cool gimmicks that come with them, and it definitely keeps the combat fresh. But Link is still my favorite. I just got the Master Sword with him, so I'm using that weapon, and just because it's the Master Sword, it's so cool. Getting the Master Sword in this game was freaking awesome too.
Oh yeah,
it was very, very cool. So
was like a whole level designed for it.
Yes. Yeah,
that's cool.
And you fight a boss kind of in that area as well, where you pick it up. It's really cool. I'm really liking the story too. I have a feeling this isn't what I thought it was going to be. It is a prequel, but I have a feeling that this is going to pull some alternate timeline crap, like Zelda always does. I have a feeling this isn't going to just be a straight up prequel. Because if you played the demo, you already saw that like a little baby guardian went back in time with y'all, and there are just a few other things that are making me think that there's some alternate timeline stuff going on, but we will see. But like I said, really enjoying it more than I thought I was going to be enjoying it. But
so would you recommend that game to like anybody, or like just really hardcore Zelda fans?
I would say if you're a hardcore Zelda fan, I would try the demo. And if the demo seems interesting to you, then I would try it out, because I am not the biggest fan, or I've never been like called to try any of these Musa games, but I love Breath of the Wild so much, and this has, I mean, it's not like Breath of the Wild, but the main map is the Breath of the Wild map. All the sounds are there. It just has a Breath of the Wild vibe to it, and like I said, the story is, you know, a prequel to Breath of the Wild, so that's keeping me going. But if this were just like, you know, just a standard game, I probably would not be playing it. Even though it is fun, but the Zelda stuff is definitely driving me to continue playing it.
Yeah.
It's just like if I was playing as Soldier B, I would not be, you know, psyched about, even though that's like the combat is cool and stuff, I would not be, you know, as pumped to play as Soldier B as I'm playing with Urbosa and lightning shooting everywhere. And like I'm excited to play as Urbosa because I know who Urbosa is, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, but
Nice.
yeah, I'd at least check the demo out for sure. But yeah, that's kind of it for me, at least recently. Of course, I am waiting for Cyberpunk because that is probably all I'll be playing once I get that. So
it's
just
finally
like
here.
everybody else. Yep, like 4 days, man. It's crazy.
I know. I don't even know if I'm ready. Like I have so much that I'm already playing going on. It's gonna be hard to.
Oh, I'm
put
dropping
even more time into stuff.
I'm dropping everything to play Cyberpunk. Like it is
I don't
not even gonna care about it. So
I'm hoping that game just completely consumes me because for whatever reason, I'm just not, there is no hype there for me. And it isn't that I'm disinterested in the game. I'm definitely playing it. I want to pick it up, but like I don't feel the hype whatsoever for some reason. It like even when I install it and like hit play, I'm still going to be in that. All right, here we go. Let's see what this is all about. But I'm hoping like in the first few hours, I'm like totally captivated by it.
Yeah. I know what you're saying though, because like I feel kind of numb to it right now. Like I don't feel the hype that I felt like, for example, when Shadowlands came out like 2 Mondays ago. Like I was like just hopping around all excited, dude. But like right now, I'm just, you know, I'm excited for Cyberpunk, but I'm not like I'm not like thinking of what I could do to pass the time because I can't stand not playing it right now.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, but I am still really excited. But I think I understand what you're saying.
yeah, I feel the exact same way. I'm just assuming that once the day gets here, I'll feel differently. At least I'm hoping I will. Because I think we're just so numb to it being it taking so long to actually come out, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like we haven't had any good games to play either. So I mean, there have just been, you know, a consistent stream of really good games, especially in the past.
I think that's
month or
contributed
two.
as well. Just like the arrival of PlayStation 5 and Spider-Man and Demon Souls and everything else that's out has certainly contributed to like sort of delineating my hype for Cyberpunk. Because I feel like it's especially over the last couple of years, we've pretty much had especially with Sony, we've had just bangers one after the other. So we've had a steady stream of great games to play for a while. And I feel like the last time I was truly hyped for a game on the scale of Cyberpunk, say like your Skyrim or your Witcher 3 or any game like that, there was probably like a dry spell like for 3 or 4 months leading up to it, which contributed to my hype for those games.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, we have not had a short supply of great games to play over the last, I'd say, especially the last year, but I'd say over the last 2 years, we've had just great games to play nonstop.
Yeah. And this was like an off year, even, if it kind of felt like. Like we had, Final Fantasy, we had Doom, but, you know, COVID happened this year. Less things happen. Oh, yeah, Ghosts. Yeah.
Dude, The Last of Us feels like it came out 9 years ago.
It does. I feel like we played that. I mean, we quite literally did play it last generation, but I mean like beginning of last generation is what it feels like.
It came out in what, June? It hasn't even been that long. Like it's insane. Man. I mean, that
which is weird too, because Tsushima was out in July, and that felt for some reason that feels like I played it last week. But
well, I like
Last of Us just a month before that feels like a lifetime ago.
Yeah, I mean, Doom Eternal came out this year too. That feels like forever ago.
Yeah, that feels so far ago.
Which I don't think last time I was on the podcast I talked about that game because I played the DLC for it, and it was a freaking awesome, and also one of the hardest things I've done in a long time.
Yeah, I started the DLC. I haven't finished it, but I did play a bit of it.
Insanely hard. Like the final boss fight just was like freaking Demon Souls, but still awesome.
Yeah. It's going to be really interesting. I know we're going to get to it here in a bit, but the Game Awards, I know it's not like the end all be all. I mean, it is interesting to me though, because I feel like the argument nowadays is invalid and people are like, there is no one game of the year because there's so many outlets, blah, 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 blah. Everyone has a different game of the year. That is true, but I feel like the Game Awards by Jeff Keighley have at this point pretty much become the Oscars of the gaming industry, and most major outlets are voting on these awards. So if you ask me, there is a definitive game of the year these days that all the outlets collectively vote on.
Yeah.
So I feel like that argument, like, oh, it doesn't matter what wins Game of the Year at the Game Awards. It's not rigged because every outlet has their own. I'm like, well, yeah, at the same time, every outlet's voting towards these main awards. So it's going to be interesting to see what wins. I mean, of course, every category, but specifically Game of the Year and what the reactions will be like online. So I think, not to spoil anything, I think I'd be amazed if anything beat Last of Us for Game of the Year, but we'll see.
I mean, I think it really comes down to like what Game of the Year show / outlet has the most eyes on it in terms of who wins that Game of the Year. And I think Jeff Keighley's show has the most eyes on it in terms of just everyone that does Game of the Year. So I think just that alone gives it the most legitimacy for being like that Oscars.
Yeah. Then again, I was wrong last year. I mean, I was fully convinced Control was going to win Game of the Year. I'd even played it. I just had that gut feeling. And it blew. I mean, not that Sekiro is even remotely a bad game. Sekiro is awesome, and I suck at it and can say that. But
you can't even play it.
But it beat Control, which it really surprised me. Because I always thought of Game of the Year of like the culmination of like mostly the best in every category, be it story, gameplay, mechanics, performance, blah 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 blah. Where Sekiro is more of a vague type of story. It's definitely more straightforward than most From Software games, but in terms of like a game like Control, which very clearly has great gameplay and, from what I understand, a pretty wild story, I was surprised. But anyway,
what have you been
Jacob,
playing?
Let's hear about Shadowlands.
Okay, yeah, I can go. Well, first, before I get into that, I haven't spoken at all about getting the PS5 and playing.
Oh
Spider-Man.
yeah, dude, that's how long it's been. I've been dying to hear your thoughts, like on air, official, how Jacob Alka feels about the next generation of PlayStation thus far.
So that was when our last podcast was the week that the PS5 came out. And so I got mine like that Wednesday after of the next week. And so first thing I did, I downloaded all the apps like Twitch, YouTube, Netflix, Disney Plus.
All the stuff that's way more important than games.
Yes,
you got to get to that first.
And then once I had all that squared away, I downloaded Miles Morales, used the PlayStation Store because I had made the executive decision to go exclusively digital this time.
Dude, heck yeah. Virtual high five to that.
Heck
dude,
yeah,
I thought Brian Altano posted the best, most applicable gift to the digital owners.
Yeah.
It's like how I feel with people who say they have a digital console. It's Tobias Funke from Arrested Development. He's like, there are dozens of us. He's talking about the never nudes because he's like afraid to get naked at all times. It's like there's dozens of digital owners compared to the millions of disc owners. But I thought that was pretty funny.
But technically, I am a disc owner because I have the more expensive version. I have the disc drive in my PS5.
Oh, never mind, Jacob. I retract my high five.
No, I'm still making a stand. You know,
dude,
that's good.
Get out of here.
These discs.
Physical,
they take up so much
physical
space.
is the way to go, man.
F that, dude.
So
you guys have fun swapping your disc. Not Jacob, I guess, but
hey,
have
you
fun
know what's
swapping
cool?
your discs.
You know what's
in and
cool
out.
about the physical is that you could use it as a digital if you want to, but I have the option for physical.
Exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? What are you going to do when I go to GameStop?
At least mine doesn't have a tumor on the side.
I go and buy a used game for half the price than what it costs you to download it. What about that?
See, that's why I have the physical version. You know,
Yeah,
like if there's like a deal where I'm going to save $30 on a game, then yeah, I'm going to go take advantage of that. But, just going in, I'm not going to like, oh, I got to go to the midnight release at GameStop tonight because, I want to go sit in that line. No, I can just download it, have it ready, and then play it at midnight. I don't want to mess with that stuff anymore. Not that I didn't have good experiences doing stuff like that at GameStop, but it just saves you some hassle. Saves you gas
fully
money.
Plugged into the Matrix, man. Digital everything.
Yeah. Anyways,
with your 3 games on there.
Right.
Anyways, the only game that I've played on my PS5 is Spider-Man Miles Morales. I am 4 trophies away from the platinum. I'm like about halfway through a New Game Plus playthrough. It's it's a phenomenal game for what it is.
You and I are in the exact same position with that. I have like 2 trophies left. I'm halfway through a New Game Plus.
Yeah, I think I have like ceiling takedowns. Then I have to finish a playthrough of New Game Plus. And then there's like one other one that I can't quite remember. But like I was saying, the game's phenomenal. It's not the longest game in the world. Like no one's saying it is. It's maybe, I don't know, 8 hours to finish the game. But there's just so much side content to do. Like it's sort of like the first Spider-Man on PS4. It was there's just the world's littered with just tons of stuff to do. Not a whole lot of stuff to do. Like I said, it's not nearly on the scale that the first Spider-Man is. But
different places in the city, interior and exterior, to fight people, basically.
Sure. Yeah. There's a few hideouts. There's obviously there's lots of buildings you can scale. Scale. I mean, the swinging I think is a lot better in the Spider-Man. Oh, yeah. Not to mention the 60 frames that make it even more smooth. Mm-hmm. I love a lot of the suits that Miles has.
Dude, I love his like Daft Punk suit.
Yes, that's the one I wear all the time, dude. I love it. I love his regular suit, like his black with a red spider. I like his starting suit. I like how like basic it is.
I love the Great Responsibility suit. I love that one.
Yeah. It's nice.
I really like the cat suit too with the hoodie.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the cat. How did I forget about the cat? Yeah.
That's a great one.
That's another great one. And I'm sitting here staring at your video here that you posted on the 19th from COG for more epic swinging, and you're wearing that costume. So yeah, it's a very good game. Story's solid. It's not. I mean, it's fine. I mean, like Peter Parker's out of town. Miles is trying to prove that he can defend the city on his own, which is kind of a cool thing to see them sort of tell. And I'm excited to see how going into the next game, you would have to imagine you're going to play with both of these guys at different times in the game, or maybe at the same time, which is even cooler to think about. But yeah, we're really looking forward to the next one. I really like what Insomniac is doing with Spider-Man. I really like both of these games. It makes me kind of want to go back and play the first one, like all the way through and get the platinum, because I know, like, did they do a update for PS5? I'm not entirely sure, but
there is
which game?
For the first Spider-Man game.
Yes.
Yeah, they made a remastered version of it.
Okay, but if I have the original, can I?
No, you cannot. You have to buy the remastered.
Yeah, there's is it $70 or $80 version of
the $70 of Miles comes with the remastered.
Yeah.
Whereas I think if you don't have that, you can upgrade your copy to the remastered, which I think is like $20 or something.
Okay.
But I felt the exact same way as you, Jacob, and in fact did platinum the remastered version as well.
Nice, dude.
Which sucks because I spent all the time platinuming it, and then like literally the next day Insomniac released the update for you to be able to
import your save and like instantly get the platinum.
Yeah, so it's like, well, that sucks. But
well, think of it this way, there's some silver linings. You know that game like the back of your hand.
Yeah,
definitely now. And you also are probably more used to the new Peter Parker face than most players.
Yes,
because of that.
I definitely am. And I think it's great. I don't get the hate.
I understand where not everyone, but most people come from when they say, "Oh, he looks too young." Like I get that,
he's
but
24.
I can live. And I'm just saying, like they say, compared to Miles, who's supposed to be like 16 or something, they look like they're the same age. But I've seen, dude. I swear, I've seen people that it's weird. I've seen people that are much younger than me that you would think are much older. And I've seen people that are much older than me that look like I'm twice their age. It's really bizarre. So you could really like, if you see enough faces in your life, I think people can settle with knowing that Peter Parker looks like a legitimate 23-year-old now.
Yeah. The only thing that disappointed me a little bit is I thought Peter's face in the remaster graphically looked really good. I thought Otto's face looked really good as well. Like I could definitely tell they touched it up, and I think they touched up everybody's faces, but for some reason Mary Jane's face just didn't
looks like a cartoon.
Yeah, especially her hair, because you know how she has her bangs cut across. That just doesn't look as good as like Harry
those
or
bangs
Peter's.
Are so last generation, bro.
Yeah, they are. So hopefully
last generation bangs.
Hopefully in the next one they can update her a little bit. So
when you watch them give, I was surprised honestly. If you're going to redesign Peter Parker, you may as well redesign the entire cast at this point. But everyone else does look good. But
why did they redesign him again? Like, does the contract end for the old Spider-Man?
I honestly don't know. I think their only explanation was that they say his facial animations better represent Yuri Lowenthal's actual performance.
That is what they said. Yep. They said it was just better in that process for them to change the face. So
interesting. Okay.
I mean you have to believe them. Why else would they change it?
Yeah, because that is a gigantic change.
Yeah,
the
it's
other
not
one.
like
So
that's I've seen some insane conspiracy theories as to why, but it's like they're just very adamant. Like this is better for us, and like I said, there's not really a good reason to have changed his face if the reason that they're giving isn't the right reason. But like I said, I don't know. I think having played through the remastered, I think after the third or fourth cutscene, you just get used to it. So.
Yeah.
Like I even have trouble remembering what he used to look like anymore. So they're doing what they want, or they're accomplishing what they want.
Dude, crazy. Did you know that Laura Bailey does the voice of Mary Jane?
Yeah.
It's like I don't even recognize her in a lot of stuff. Whereas like Troy Baker, when he was in Miles, I was like, that's Troy Baker, like the third word he said. Whereas Laura Bailey is just like I have to look it up to even to
That's
tell
what's
who
interesting is that her natural voice, you'd think like, because once you know it's Laura Bailey, you can kind of pick up on the similarities. For example, she's played a million characters, but specifically like Mary Jane and Abby have similar voices, but there's like just enough nuance to differentiate them. Yeah. Which I think is really interesting about Laura Bailey, how her voice really does have a tendency to just disappear in the role she's in.
Yeah. I mean, then you think that Laura Bailey was freaking Trunks as well. Trunks
I know,
voice. That's insane. Or Kid Trunks.
Yeah.
And Troy Baker can do that as well. Cause like Joel.
Yeah. It's insane how different Joel sounds from his natural voice.
Yeah. And Nolan North can do it as well. Cause when he played, what was his name in the original Last of Us? The cannibal.
Yeah, it's that weird guy.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name.
Forgetting his name, but I didn't even know that was Nolan North until the end of the game when I saw it in the credits.
Nolan North also does Penguin, doesn't he, in Arkham?
Yeah, I believe so. So, I mean, they're good at it. I just think so many people have both of them just doing their normal voices,
Yep.
But anywho.
Speaking of Troy Baker, the character that he plays in Miles Morales, I hate that guy. I hate that character.
I think that's the point. He's like, what a douchebag.
Yeah, I liked him in that sense, that he was just a really easy guy to not.
I also like how he was just a straight up douche. Like there wasn't like a big bang conclusion for his character other than just he got arrested. I kind of like that.
Oh, there's not a single redeeming quality about it.
Like it would have been really
Spoiler
stupid
alert.
if like after sorry. Spoiler alert. After the game ends and like there's a big final boss battle, it would have been really stupid if he like barrels out of a Roxxon tower in like a big Roxxon robotic suit or something. It would have been hilarious. But I'm glad they didn't do that. He was very much like the behind the scenes guy controlling all the pawns that he was sort of in cahoots with. So really, really awesome boss battle set pieces in this game too. I mean, I feel like the second Rhino fight is just the Batman
we have
Bane
got to
fight
put
from Arkham Asylum.
Massive, spoiler alert.
But overall, really awesome game. Really hit me in the feels too, especially towards the end.
Yeah, it does. It does.
So I could say a lot about that game. I continually go back to that, whether it's just to swing around or I've been nicking away at New Game Plus. That game is just. I mean, Insomniac games just are genuinely very fun to play. Always.
Yeah.
Which is what I love about that studio.
For sure.
So it just makes me all the more excited for Ratchet.
I am so excited for Ratchet.
Yeah, and there's going to be a gorgeous performance mode in that, dude. I can finally see those bolts fly around at 60 FPS. It's going to be gorgeous. So stoked for that.
Oh yeah. But yeah, Spider-Man's great. I recommend it to pretty much everybody, unless you hate superheroes for some reason. But other than that, haven't really touched Spider-Man in a couple weeks now because I've been playing Shadowlands exclusively pretty much every day, all the time, with all of my free time. I am pretty sure I've put in about over 100 hours in the last 2 weeks, which is insane to sort of think about, but it's where we are. Really, really obsessed with it. I can't. This might be like, I don't want to like hype it up and say it's like the best thing of all time, but it's certainly been like, in terms of like WoW expansions and stuff.
It's filled the void in my heart.
It is. I don't have a woman right now. This is something that's giving me those same sort of feels. It's making me feel in places that I don't remember, how they felt. But anyways, Shadowlands is it's great on just a lot of different fronts. So you're going to basically Shadowlands is the land of the dead. There's 5 new zones in total, 4 of which you level through. One being this like angelic golden plain, like angel paradise, sort of think of like, I don't know, some sort of like Olympus sort of zone. Then we have a zone called Maldraxxus, which is completely opposite of that. It is an undead, just wasteland of just undead creatures, things made of bones and whatnot, and a bunch of that stuff. Then the next zone is something called Ardenweald. It's a luscious purple bluish forest with a bunch of like fairies and butterflies and just fairy creatures. Something that's really cool about this expansion is that every zone is sort of like thematically different. So it makes feeling like going to each one of them is sort of a different experience in itself, which is something that I really enjoy. And then the 4th zone is called Revendreth, and it's my favorite zone. But it's basically a gothic, reddish vampire aesthetic with big castles and sort of like small, dark shanty towns. And it's a really cool aesthetic. It's very mountainous. There's a lot of elevation to it. I really enjoy it. And then the last zone is called the Maw, which is basically hell. It's not like on fire like we sort of imagine hell. It's sort of more barren and dark and just hopeless. It has like this gray blue aesthetic. And you can't mount up in the zone either. Like it's like the weight of the jailer. He's like the big baddie in this expansion. It's like weighing down upon you. Like you can't mount. You have to sort of walk around and move slowly through everything. Everything's very powerful in the Maw. So it's sort of, they wanted to feel like more like a dangerous place to go. And even when you die, actually, you lose sort of some of the resources that you've been collecting. So it's sort of like Dark Souls in a sense, where you have to go back and pick up your remains if you die. So that's kind of cool. But I have an advantage playing as a rogue because I can go into stealth. And while I might move slowly because I'm still walking, I can pretty much avoid most enemies if I want to. So it's been nice being a rogue and being able to sort of maneuver in and out of combat and stay hidden. So I've been thankful for that. But apart from those few things, there's covenants in this campaign. So basically you align yourself with one of these zones and you sort of join them in a sense where you represent them. You gain some of their aesthetic armor, mounts, and then you get like your own exclusive story to that zone in particular. So I chose Revendreth. I'm part of the Venthyr, which is Revendreth's covenant. So I'm going to be, over the course of the next few months, I'll be earning like exclusive armor pieces, mounts, and just, pets, all kinds of just aesthetic stuff that you can choose to do at any pace you want. It's sort of time-gated in a sense where there's chapters in the story. So every weekly reset on Tuesday, a couple more chapters, or one chapter I think will open up every week. So it's sort of like a continual journey through the months to come of that is like everyone that's in the Venthyr covenant, my covenant, will experience. That'll be different from someone that's part of the Bastion covenant, the Kyrians they're called. And in each zone sort of has its own sub story that's going on. So each covenant's gonna have a different story as the expansion goes on, which is kind of cool. but they still all have this like overarching story that's, you know, the jailer's trying to invade Azeroth from the Shadowlands, and we're trying to make sure he doesn't do that because, you know, he's been, I mean, I don't want to get too nerdy, but so I'm not going to talk about like everything that's going on in terms of the narrative, but yeah, that's sort of where we are. We're in another big feature in the expansion is called Torghast, which is basically, it's in the mall, and it's basically like a roguelike sort of experience where you enter this tower, and there's 6 floors in the tower, and each time you go in, you start with a power-up, and you pick which power-up you want. It's random every time, and you sort of go through the towers. The rooms are randomly generated with random enemies, random aesthetics, random things you have to do, random puzzles. And you sort of just go through them until you get to the 6th floor, and there is a boss at the end. And hopefully by that point, you've picked up enough power-ups to either, you know, take less damage or do more damage, or, you know, there's different things depending what class you're playing to sort of how, you know, your class will be buffed, or, you know, just a tons of different things. So it's kind of cool because you can level up different characters and then take them through Torghast, and each class will play completely differently. And, it sounds like a nightmare to me for Blizzard to sort of balance that, but I think they've done a pretty good job so far. It's been a really good time. Early on, rogues were a little they were struggling a little bit in Torghast. So we didn't have we were taking a lot of damage, and it was kind of hard to solo them. But you know, luckily that first week I just grouped up with people, and I was eventually able to get through them. But here in the second week, we got some hot fixes, got some more buffs, so I'm able to solo them now. And I also have better gear, so that helped too. But that's been a lot of fun. And besides that, the dungeons have been really fun. The raid is coming out this Tuesday, the week this is going live. Unfortunately, it's the same week as Cyberpunk, but I think our raid days are Tuesdays and Thursdays. So those nights I'll be raiding, but other than that, I'll probably be jumping into Cyberpunk. But yeah, I don't know. It's kind of cool to be excited about WoW again, because it's not that I wasn't before, but there just wasn't a whole lot to do in terms of content. But Shadowlands has definitely rejuvenated my love for the game, and I'm having a lot of fun with it right now. But another good thing about Shadowlands is that there's less of like a weekly commitment to like things you need to do every week. Sort of like how Destiny was, because you guys both played Destiny. Like there's things you can do every week, and then they reset the next week, so you do them again and have that chance of getting that gear again. So Shadowlands has less of that, which is good. So I feel like I have less of a like need to be playing all the time. So that's part of the reason why I'll be jumping into Shadowlands. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. It's really fun, and so a lot of the zones are just some of the best they've ever made, I think. So there's just a lot of positives and not very many negatives. I can't think of any negatives personally, like so far. I know some people have some negatives, but so far for me, it's been so much fun, and I have no complaints. But that's pretty much all I have to say, unless you guys have some questions.
Dude, glad to hear it.
Yeah, I've been obsessed with it. Like, it's good to be just obsessed with the game again. And I don't expect it to last, but, you know, it's been so much fun.
Obsessed with it to the next exception crosses your path.
Yeah, which might be Cyberpunk. We'll see.
Hopefully it's Cyberpunk for all of us. I wanted to have the same effect that it had on Preston and I when we first played Fallout 3. Mm-hmm. I want that feeling again with like an open world, in-depth, lengthy RPG. Yeah. And I also want to be I want every week for the foreseeable future. And when I say every week, I mean, I'll maybe have like a few hours to play every week. I'm hoping every week we have the podcast, I'll have like a new story to tell of like a random crazy thing that happened that didn't happen to you guys. And I hope you have other stories that didn't happen to me. Yeah.
Yeah. I was telling my buddy that at work, I was like, do you realize like how many unique stories that like different people that you talk to that are playing this game are going to have, and that you're going to congregate together and you're going to talk about it, and you're like, oh, I didn't do that. How'd you go do that? Like, where is
that's what I'm hoping for. That was the thrill of Fallout 3 for Preston and I originally, because he'd be like, holy crap, dude, I found a new quest. I'd be like, where? And I'd run over there and try to find it, or I'd find a weapon and tell him where it was, and like that sense of discovery and what feels like unscripted moments have always been my favorite things in games like that. So I really look forward to stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and one cool thing, one last thing about Shadowlands, so once you run the tower enough, you collect this resource called Soul Ash, and you use Soul Ash to craft your own unique legendaries. And so like every person's going to be crafting their own legendaries, which is basically the highest tier of gear that you can get, even higher than the raids. And there's 4 tiers of them. You craft it, you upgrade it over time once you get more resources, and they do some really cool effects to make your character feel even more powerful. So I just think they did a really good job of, like, at first it seemed a little overwhelming with all the different systems they were putting into the game, but I think they all sort of fit together in the end to have a nice little package, and it sort of makes your character feel really good in the end, because you feel kind of weak going through the expansion. So it's nice to have that sort of power grind from like going from weak to getting a little bit stronger, then a little bit stronger, then you're like, oh, I feel really powerful, and like, you know, I'm top of the meters on damage. So I'm excited for that grind, and we'll see how I perform in the raid. I'm really excited to see it. The first raid's in Wrath and Draft 2. It's called Castle Nathria, and it's basically like a big vampire themed raid, and it's gonna be fun. Really excited. It's gonna be me and 20 of my guildies going through it. It's gonna be a good time.
Guildies, huh?
Guildies. Oh yeah.
I'd love to watch you stream some WoW, Jacob.
Yeah, I thought about it, man.
I'm back to doing a lot of work from home, and I like to have something on in the background.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to watch a Jacob Alka Shadowlands stream.
I'm probably working while you're working at home, but you know.
Well, I mean, in the evenings, if you're home and up for streaming it sometimes, you still have your own personal Twitch channel, don't you?
I don't think I do, but I've never streamed on it, right? I used to stream on Facebook.
Oh, that's right.
Facebook.
Be a Facebook streamer, bro.
Yeah, I kind of regret doing that.
Yeah, our time streaming was very short-lived and not all that substantial. Like, we didn't really grow much, but the times we did hang out with a decent crowd from our community was always a lot of fun. Whether it was co-op or solo, I always liked the original idea of like, oh, morning streams and evening streams, like a few times a week was a fun idea. We just couldn't commit to it.
No,
so
it's a big commitment. You gotta really be like, you gotta commit to it if you want it to succeed.
I commend people that are able to commit to doing that. Even if it's like a few days a week, that really is like a lot of hard work.
Yeah. I go back and forth on it. Like, a part of me wants to do it again. Then a part of me is like, do I really like? Would I enjoy games as much if I'm having to like sit there and talk over it the whole time? I don't know.
Yeah, it is a different experience for sure.
It's something I go back and forth on, but I'd like to say that I'll do it again someday. And odds are it would probably be WoW if I streamed a game.
Yeah. I would give streaming a legitimate chance if. I've said this a million times. Like, if I was just like offensively rich and didn't have any other responsibilities, I would totally just take like a year to. I think I told you once. I was like, oh, I'd commit a year of my life to playing WoW like daily for a year.
Yeah.
I would legitimately try to stream like full time for a year if I was just filthy rich.
Oh yeah.
But I'm not, so that's probably not happening in my lifetime. But yeah.
A different Garrett would be doing that.
Right. So glad to hear you're enjoying Shadowlands, Jacob. It's always nice to hear when someone's a fan of a particular IP that has something new come, whether it's a sequel or an expansion, and people like really fall in love with it.
It's kind of relieving too, because a lot of people was like, oh, this is it. You know, this is the WoW killer right here. If this doesn't do well, no one's going to play this anymore.
Yep.
But they said that with
Blizzard.
every expansion. But it's been a good time. So.
Man, not to go on a big tangent here, but you know what I keep forgetting about that we haven't heard anything about in a long time is Overwatch 2.
Oh, yeah.
Well, now that I think about it, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a new trailer for it at the Game Awards.
Well, I don't think we will, because they're having their BlizzCon line, is what they're calling it. BlizzCon line.
Oh, like because it's online.
Yes. I think it's in January or February. It's going to be a live stream since they couldn't have BlizzCon.
I mean, they could tease it. They could tease like a big reveal of Overwatch 2, like where they go in depth with all the systems and stuff at BlizzCon line. But they could tease it and like hype up people again at the Game Awards if it's only a couple months away.
Yeah.
I want Blizzard to have a major. I mean, not that they've like really fallen off, but they've certainly had some
hardships.
Some hardships over the last couple of years. I'd like to see them be back in full force, like where people like really love and cherish and support Blizzard again.
Yep.
Hopefully between the next Overwatch and Diablo, and of course now with Shadowlands, that their fan base and their support is revitalized.
Yeah. I'm much more interested in Diablo 4 at this moment in time, but because I don't know. It sort of feels like Overwatch has sort of dirtied the waters a little bit in terms of what they're doing, or like I don't know if people are as interested in that idea anymore. So it'll be interesting to sort of see if like do people want to play Overwatch too? Like are they itching for it?
Certainly not itching for it. I think it will be a big success just because of the name and because it's Blizzard. But yeah, I would agree. I imagine the interest and hype for Diablo is far more than Overwatch. I'm definitely very hyped for Diablo. So
it's
I still wish
Diablo's
like the Diablo 2 like remake or remaster would be a thing, because I'd love to play one more Diablo title leading up to 4.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be cool if they like miraculously strategized it to where the Diablo 2 remaster launched like 6 months to a year before Diablo 4.
Yeah,
that'd be awesome.
I agree.
Just like they should have released the Mass Effect remastered trilogy before Andromeda, but now in retrospect and in hindsight, I should say, I'm kind of glad it's coming after, because we need a really strong palate cleanser and a reminder of what makes Mass Effect great, and that is the original trilogy after Andromeda. So, yeah. Anything else you want to share about what you've been playing, Jacob?
No, that's it.
Cool. So I've been playing a few things as well. I'm not going to go on a humongous tangent. I'll try to rein it in here because we've been talking about games for a while. But also been playing Spidey. We talked about that. I've been playing Hades on Switch because I was out of town this past week for a few days. And I'm like, well, I want a game to play in the plane. So I'm going to download Hades because there's a lot of hype for it. And a lot of people have some pretty hot takes on, oh, this might be game of the year. And having played it, it's really solid. It is a roguelite type of experience where you do die a lot. You're intended to die a lot, but what's cool about it is that there are a bunch of different weapons to unlock and a bunch of different abilities to upgrade throughout from all the various gods, because you're basically Hades' son and you're trying to escape the underworld. And meanwhile, all the other gods are like, dude, come on, join us up here in Olympus. It's so much better than down there. So they're like helping you out the whole time. So there's like a cool sense of humor about the game. It doesn't take itself overly seriously. There's a great soundtrack, beautiful art style, really fun action-packed gameplay that is truly challenging at times. I still haven't beaten the first boss, and I've tried multiple times. So in that sense, it's sort of like roguelite meets like a From Software game, or like a Soulsborne game where you have that path you follow, where each room's slightly different leading up back to the boss where I keep dying. But where was I going with that? I don't see it winning game of the year. I'd be very surprised. It'd be it'd be very surprising to me if it won. Not that it's remotely bad, but I don't see how anything could overcome the other big hitters this year, like Tsushima, Last of Us, Doom Eternal. And I think Hades really is excellent, but I don't see it winning. But I have enjoyed it.
Gary, I see a lot of people really praising Hades, so I think it has a chance. I really do.
Really strong character work too. Like, I think it's really interesting the take they've given a lot. It's interesting how prevalent Greek mythology is this year. Like, if you think about Immortals, Fenyx Rising, Hades, and the Netflix what's that show that we just watched called?
Gods and Monsters?
No, that was the original Immortals title.
The old game name.
Blood of Zeus, right?
Blood of Zeus, that's right. Yeah, Blood of Zeus was this year as well. And they're all like completely different takes on Greek mythology, which I think is really interesting. They all hit in the same year. So a lot of really amazing positives about it. I haven't had any performance issues. It runs beautifully on Switch, and it is a great title, at least for me to take on the go. I will be out of town this week as well, so I'll probably nick away at it some more. Yeah. But it's pretty cool. If you like, I mean, I've never been like a roguelite kind of guy, but just because there was so much hype about it and I wanted something to play on the go, it kind of made sense for me to try it. So, yeah. I would say it reminds me more of Dead Cells meets like a From Software type of game in a way. Far more fast-paced than like a From Software game, but it's cool. It's also that isometric camera perspective, which is something that for some reason is still so hard for me to get engaged with. Oh, really? I mean, the arenas look beautiful, like they're cool, but there's not anything else than just you're looking down at your character fighting everything. So it's very much like Diablo camera perspective in that sense, but it's cool. Aside from that, I did beat Demon Souls. And the Demon Souls, I caught the Demon Souls bug in the same sense, not to refer back to Fallout 3 too much, but when Fallout 3 came out in 2008, I was excited for it because I had just played Oblivion, and I knew it was a Bethesda Studios game. But I didn't immediately play it. I immediately jumped into Far Cry 3 that year and was playing it. And Preston's the one's like, dude, you got to play Fallout. It's going to blow your mind. And when I started playing Fallout, I caught the bug and I couldn't put it down. That's exactly what happened to me with Demon Souls, because I picked up both Demon Souls and Miles Morales and immediately jumped into Miles Morales because I knew it was accessible. I wouldn't get pissed at it, and I just have a lot of fun and enjoy it for the first few hours. But as soon as I got into Demon Souls, dude, I could not put it down. And it really is just a cross between how beautiful it is. The environments are just... It's one thing to just walk through them and appreciate how pretty they are, but just the classic From Software formula. I know this is like their first big major like Soulsborne type game that's just been remade, but even back then, like it still has that magic of just exploring an environment and finding like a useful item or an interesting character or finding a hidden area. And just that sense of discovery and mystery, and also that daunting feeling like anything could kill you at any moment. It's just exhilarating. And it's that game where I just constantly have like a shiver down my spine, because like there's a lot of disturbing stuff that attacks you in those games. Mm-hmm. And just the thought of, with no checkpoints, especially the only checkpoints you have are like the bosses where you've killed them, to know you've traversed this gigantic area knowing you could die at any moment, especially if you don't have any stones of ephemeral eyes or whatever to like restore your body. That's really daunting. So I loved it for that. Of course, the I think the sound design and the DualSense really just take combat to a level that I've never felt in like a third person action game before, because it literally feels, you feel powerful when you're just beating the hell out of something with a sword. Mm-hmm. Or I was telling Preston this, I hope when you cast spells, at least on the DualSense controller in the next in Hogwarts Legacy, that it feels like it does in Demon Souls, because whenever you cast a spell, you can feel it surging from like the handles up to the triggers. That's and it feels like it's surging through your wand, and you shoot out a spell, and it feels very powerful. So I'm hoping it has that same sense in Hogwarts. But just some short stories from my experience with the game. I started as a knight just because the game has always been heavily advertised with the knight on like the front cover, and like all the ads have the knight. So I'm like, I want to play as the knight. So I started as a knight, not knowing what I was doing at all, with like going through the worlds, which bosses to fight in which correct order. I was just winging it as I went. Mm-hmm. And I made it through the first couple of bosses just willy-nilly. And got to a point where I was like physically, I just could not put any damage into the boss I thought I was supposed to be fighting. I just could not beat him. And it wasn't it wasn't that I was dodging incorrectly or not hitting it properly. I was doing no damage. It's like, something's wrong here. I don't know what it is. So for a hot minute, I was researching, and people are saying, oh, like if you're a first-time Demon Souls player, you need to play like a classic Royalty or something, because it's way easier for your first playthrough. And I did have that thought briefly, like, well, maybe I'll just start over. I haven't made it that far. And I saw a lot of people on Twitter, a lot of games journalists actually were like, oh, I started over as Royalty, and it's so much better now. I'm slaughtering everything. But I didn't like the thought of just giving up my knight and just reverting back to the beginning, so I stuck with it. And while I did play the game entirely out of order and did it probably incorrectly, I managed to make it through the whole game. And while I did have moments of agony of just things really frustrating me, I was able to beat it. And I beat every single boss in the game, didn't miss any of them. So that was cool. I loved my knight too. I was just a total hack and slasher the entire time. I just beat the living hell out of everything with my sword. I upgraded my sword as high as it could go. I didn't even use anything but my longsword from the very beginning of the game. Sword? Yeah, I mean, I found cool weapons like the dragon sword and like all these other like magical weapons, but I just straight up upgraded the heck out of my longsword. It was just a classic knight and just slashed everything to death the whole game. Yeah. I did have a very strong bow as well. I had like this legendary bow and upgraded it as high as you could go in my like ranged attacks and everything. So between my bow and my sword, I was pretty deadly. Didn't cast a single spell in all of my first playthrough.
Oh, really?
I did enchant my weapon a couple of times, but that's the only like enchantment I used.
Nice.
So I would just refer to like the wiki Demon Souls for like tips on certain bosses and like what their weaknesses were. And for the most part, didn't struggle too much, but really had an amazing first experience just exploring those beautiful worlds, encountering new enemies for the first times. I think the most frustrating enemies are the squid prison guards from, I think it's World 3. Those guys are total bastards, dude. I absolutely hate them. And Preston and I were joking about this on the phone. I think the hardest enemy in the game, who's harder than any boss in the game, is a Black Phantom prison guard squid on the stairs that lead up to Maneater. Like, that guy can burn in hell, dude. I hate him so much. Because if you're like a pretty low-leveled character, like I'll get to my second playthrough in a bit, but he'll kill you in one hit every single time. He'll either kill you with a spell in one hit, or he'll just knock you off this staircase and you'll fall to your death. So you have to master the timing of your dodges to get past him up these stairs, because you can't really kill him without taking major damage.
Yeah.
So if you don't dodge him, you're screwed. F that guy, dude. Seriously. I think the most epic boss fight I had was Old Monk, ironically enough, because I'm playing mostly offline for my second playthrough, but I was online the whole time, and I had a lot of invasions in my first playthrough, and I won most of my battles, but dude, I swear, when I was like 3/4 of the way getting back to a boss for like my third fight with him, and some bastard invades my world and kills me, dude, it would enrage me like nothing else. And interestingly, I think what's really unique about the Old Monk is that 90% of the time you're fighting a real player.
Yeah.
You know, like they'll just automatically invade and fight them. Dude, the boss fight I had with Old Monk lasted for like 15 minutes because me and this player, dude, were just slashing each other over and over and just constantly healing. I had a million healing items, so did he, dude. We had an epic freaking battle. And it lasted forever, and I finally beat him. But while it was also frustrating because I depleted all of my resources to win that fight, there was that extra sense of accomplishment because I knew I had taken down a real player. Mm-hmm. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's such it's a cool fight, and it's also strange at the same time because like it can only go as well as your fight goes, I guess. Like if you just face roll someone, like it's just gonna be like a joke. It's going to what was the point of that? Like the player's going to be thinking, but like, then you could at the same time have these like really epic fights like you had, and it just takes forever, but you finally beat him and you're like, man, that was badass. Like that was awesome.
Yeah. I think the most satisfying one I had was against Flame Lurker, because he's pretty infamous for being one of the tougher boss battles in the game, at least what people said online. And I definitely struggled with him for a while until I read that like he's weak to magic. So I was like, oh, that's got to be easy. But my other problem as a knight is you start out like completely fat rolling. And the only way to eliminate that, I would have had to have leveled up only my endurance. Like I couldn't have focused on anything else. I would have had to upgrade my endurance like 20 points to remove fat rolling. And even then, I'd only be like 1 pound light enough to roll properly. So it just wasn't worth it. But what's beautiful about that, I was so confused the whole game. I'm like, why on earth would you fat roll through this entire game? Because that's why I couldn't beat Flame Lurker. It wasn't that I had sticky white slime. That was before I was enchanting my weapon. So I had like what I needed to do significant damage. But I was fat rolling, and he's so quick and hits so hard that if you don't dodge his attacks, you're going to die every time. So I discovered that if you kill the red dragon, it opens up this little area behind the blue dragon in the first area of Boletaria's castle, where you can sneak up behind it. And there's a dead body that has the ring of great strength on it. And you pick up and equip that ring, and it adds like 30 extra pounds to your equip burden. So then I could roll normally, and that's what changed everything for me as a knight. Because leading up to that ring, dude, if I had not had that ring, I would have had to have started over because I couldn't beat Flame Lurker to save my life.
Yeah. Or you just have to change your gear.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I even if I wore lighter armor, like I'd have to wear just a helmet and like a t-shirt basically to roll properly.
I mean, I was a knight as well, and until I found, I'm using the royalty armor right now, which is I don't fat roll with it, but yeah, I was running around shirtless with just a helmet and pants on when I was the knight to prevent that.
Yeah. I literally, before I got that ring, I had to fight Flame Lurker in a helmet. That's it. I had a helmet and my sword, and I managed to beat him. So that was probably the most satisfying win, is when I finally beat him. That was cool. But I think that's what I loved about the game, is that the thing about it that I was telling to Preston, it isn't frustrating and it isn't enraging because it's unfair. Like the game, for the most part, is completely fair. It's just a matter of figuring out what enemies are weak to, how to properly attack them, how to dodge properly. But it's hardly skill-based at all. The only like skill-based aspect is choosing maybe when to dodge and maybe when to properly attack a boss once you know like their moveset. But other than that, dude, it's just based on if you're leveled up properly and your weapons are strong, you're going to like slaughter everything in your path. So the frustrating part is dying and just having to run back to them when you know that it's typically a result of just not being leveled up high enough to kill something. So I mentioned at the start of the podcast, I hate grinding, and the way I discovered that is in this game, I had to grind quite a bit, and it's mainly my fault because I was fighting the bosses out of order and really didn't know what I was doing. But I had to grind a lot to level up to beat certain bosses because I just was fighting them out of order. I would have to grind for like 2 hours straight to level up like 6 times just to deal enough damage on a boss. Wow. So that kind of bummed me out, but that kind of like solidified. Like I knew I didn't really like grinding, and granted, it's not really the game's fault I'm having to do this, but I put myself in that situation because I didn't want to look up every answer to the game. I looked up a lot of like tips, but not every answer. I wanted that satisfaction of like, okay, I actually figured that out on my own.
Yeah, you weren't following like a walkthrough or something.
Right. Yeah, no. Yeah. If I was like stumped to the point where I was like, I have no clue what to do, then I would look something up. But that was pretty rare, thankfully. Kind of going on tangents now, but
no, I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, but beat the game. I'm on my second playthrough. I started New Game Plus and I beat the first boss, but everything beyond that is pretty intense, and I didn't feel like grinding again. So I started over to try Royalty because people are like, it's so much easier, and for the most part, it has been easier as Royalty. I've pretty much gone full magic with my second playthrough. I have a sword, but my magic's way stronger. So it's cool to have that different experience of being mostly a caster in my second playthrough. I think if I did a third playthrough, I'd want to do like a heavy build where I have like a gigantic sword and shield. Mm-hmm. But Royalty's been cool, and I've just been nicking away the extra trophies. I hope to platinum it at some point, but really the only major trophies I have left, I've done all like the quirky, gimmicky boss fight trophies where it's like, kill them this way, do it this way. I've done all of them but one, and I just got to find all the rings and like unlock all the spells, all the miracles, that like all the little tedious things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I totally caught the bug. I couldn't put it down. I just wanted to play it nonstop just because, one, the addiction of just the satisfaction of beating bosses, but also just the sense of discovery in those worlds and how beautiful they were and how just good it feels to play was just very addicting. So major plus, and it's easily one of my favorite games of the year by far.
Nice.
So it's easy to say that too because it's very fresh in my mind, but I know it's definitely up there for me because I just couldn't put it down. So
Very
yeah,
nice, dude.
that is everything I've been playing.
That's exciting.
Yeah, I don't think I'm leaving out any thoughts about Demon's Souls. I just I look forward to more From Software stuff. I'd love to play 60 FPS Bloodborne again because every time I see GIFs from Bloodborne, I'm like, man, that game's awesome. Mm-hmm. And I have a much better understanding of those games now that I've played Dark Souls 3, a bit of Sekiro, and now Demon's Souls. I think I'd play Bloodborne far better than I did originally. So anyway, you guys want to talk about the Game Awards?
Please, let's do it.
Let's do it, boy. So I figure we'll do Game of the Year last. We'll do what we did the last couple of years. We just start from the bottom of the list and go up.
Yeah. So what are we doing here?
So you can actually, I put the link in our notes. You can just pull up the list and look at them with me.
Okay. Like, are we gonna what are we sort of like picking? Are we gonna like keep track of what we're doing? Are we just talking about it? Are we gonna just say who we think's gonna win? Like, what do you?
Yeah. We'll just say who we think's gonna win, and we'll do like our separate, like our own personal Game of the Year stuff later this month. Because that's the thing. What's kind of unfair about like Cyberpunk and stuff is that technically the end of the year is of course December 31st, but in terms of the games industry, like the year's pretty much concluded. So I think it's fair to say like Cyberpunk, for example, will be like in our personal Game of the Year discussion later this month. But in terms of this Game Awards, we'll just focus on it, do predictions. We don't have to write them down. I don't really have the energy to do that right now. I'll just try to remember what I said. I think the major ones, I'll remember what I said. But yeah, we'll just talk about who we think's going to win each one for fun.
Cool.
Sounds
I
good.
don't think
and why we think that.
Really need to talk about the ones that we have no clue about.
Yeah.
Like best esports team.
Esports commentator and stuff like that. It's like,
I don't know anything about esports. I'm gonna leave that out. Esports host, nah. Best esports game. I don't know enough about these either, but I'd probably say it's probably CS:GO. Dude, who plays Valorant anymore? Is anyone talking about Valorant? That game came and went in like 5 seconds.
CS:GO, I don't think is going to win. Well, what are the I know we're looking at stuff, but we should probably at least say what the nominees are for people.
League of
listening.
Legends and Fortnite are probably the two biggest contenders.
I mean, League of Legends won last year, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So,
this is a side note, but I think Valorant is not going to succeed long term because it's too familiar. It's too much like CS:GO and it's too much like Overwatch.
Well,
Like, sure, you married the two, but at the end of the day, you've played both of those games.
I don't think you're giving Valorant enough credit. It has a pretty big like esports scene so far. I mean, it's early, but it's not as big as Counter-Strike, but it definitely had like I think it's a cool game, and I enjoyed playing it a lot. But right now, it's just not something that I'm really fitting into my schedule. But if I was like to jump back into an FPS, and if it wasn't like Call of Duty, it would be Valorant. But I think I don't know. I see like League of Legends winning this for some reason. I don't know. I really don't know who would win this category. I have no idea.
What do you think, Poobah?
I'm gonna say League of Legends, just because I won last year.
That feels right to me too. Best esports event, we're gonna skip that one. Best esports coach, gonna skip that one. Esports at goodness, all the esports stuff, skipping that.
Esports.
Best debut game, this is more like it. Carry On. Mortal Shell. Raji the Ancient Epic and Ancient. I haven't even heard of that. Roki, haven't heard of that. Phasmophobia, that's gonna win.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that game was just super popularized.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Phasmophobia is gonna win.
What were the first two again?
Mortal Shell and Carry On.
Yeah, I'd probably pick Phasmophobia as well.
Yeah, there's just
I don't know. I heard a lot of
popularity
good things about Carry On and Mortal Shell as well, though. But
Yeah.
Phasmophobia kind of caught lightning in a bottle there.
Yeah, it did. I've heard like bad things about Mortal Shell, honestly.
Oh, really?
People always compare it to like Dark Souls and how it's like it doesn't do things as well as Dark Souls games.
Well, yeah, it's
But
the
I've heard
first
that it's
game, and it's not a long game either. I don't know.
No.
I think I got pretty okay reviews.
Yeah, but I'm also saying this like not having watched a lot of it or even played it. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, I would probably say Phasmophobia.
Dude, I think the three of us would have so much fun playing Phasmophobia.
Yeah, I think.
I also think we'd have a lot of fun with Among Us, but I haven't played either of them.
Yeah, you gotta have a few people to play Among Us.
Mm-hmm.
I think 6 is a minimum. I don't know. I've literally never played the game.
Yeah. All right, Content Creator of the Year. We got Alana Pierce, J.N. Lopez, Nick Merckx, Tim the Tatman, and Valka Ray.
I think Nick Merckx wins that.
So I don't know anything about these people. I know a little about Tim the Tatman, and I know a lot about Alana Pierce just based on the content they produce. But yeah. I don't know anything about the other ones.
So Tim is on the downward. Not that he's still really popular. I watch a few streams, so I know a little bit about some of these guys. Tim is like one of the most popular streamers, but I think he won it a few years ago or something. But the most popular guy right now is either XQC or Nick Merckx, and Nick Merckx is a big Call of Duty streamer. He used to play Fortnite when it was really popular, and it still is popular, but he's sort of transitioned to Warzone. So I imagine that he would win. Valka Ray is a streamer on YouTube, and she plays a lot of Among Us, I think, and I'm not sure about everyone else. But I would say Nick Merckx will probably win.
What about Nick Merckx really stands out?
He sort of like gives off this like bro guy persona that a lot of people probably appeal to in the Call of Duty scene. He's like a big muscle guy. He's I don't know. He just has like that bro sort of. It's like I don't know. I think when a lot of people watch streamers, they sort of like see how they just like portray themselves, and they sort of like kind of try to relate to that person. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's just one of those guys that you would like to have around if you were friends with him, I guess. So I think that he does a really good job of just, I don't know, he's a likable guy. That's what I'm trying to say.
Is he better than Tyler 1?
Yeah, he's not as loud and ridiculous.
Dude,
he's the same size, maybe bigger.
Oh, okay. That's what I was kind of referring to there.
Yeah. He's not bald, so.
I think Alana Pierce may win this. I think it's because her content is pretty eclectic, and it's actually really interesting. I think the biggest reason why I think she may win is because of her accessibility awards thing she does. I can't remember exactly what it is, but it has a lot to do with accessibility, and it's been like pretty unanimously praised on both YouTube and Twitter. I also think her podcast series where she talks, it's mostly Troy Baker on there, but other game developers as well, I think is a really interesting show Like it's really insightful too. So I think it's one of the more interesting podcasts that are out right now. On top of the stream she does, and of course, like her just talking head videos where she talks about just random subjects from the games industry. They're typically I wouldn't say controversial, but subjects that not many content creators typically tackle. Like they may say something on Twitter, but she like goes in depth and has like a full on video about her thoughts on a particular subject. And I also think it makes sense just the trajectory of her career. Like she started out as a content creator, wound up at IGN, then Funhouse, and now she's going on to Santa Monica Studio, which is pretty wild. Like her journey and like such a short. I mean, she's been in the industry for a while, but she's like had a lot of success. And I feel like the cherry on top of her career over the last few years, especially now that she's transitioning to game development as a writer, it would make sense to me if this is like the final jewel on that success as her winning content creator of the year. That's why I think she'll win. But I've been wrong before. What do you think, Preston?
Yeah, Alana Pierce is probably the only person on there whose content like I actually watch. So I guess I'd kind of have to agree with you. All the points you made were good. So I guess that would be my guess, but it wouldn't surprise me if Tim the Tatman won, because I know that whole saga with him and Fall Guys was a pretty big deal that people enjoyed.
Oh, yeah.
So that one wouldn't surprise me. I see Valkyrae a lot. I've never watched anything from her, but like I know she has a pretty big fan base. I've never even heard of the Nick guy. Never even heard of him.
Yeah.
So I guess I don't know if I'm like a little more like swayed to say Alana Pierce, but that like I said, that might just be because I consume her content the most out of any of the other people. But
yeah, it's sort of hard to like judge all the candidates if you don't like know each of them, how like those fan bases sort of operate.
I guess I don't know. I think Alana Pierce probably will win. Now that I think about it, just because of the people that are voting, they might take everything, Garrett, you said, into consideration. So,
nice. We're on to best multiplayer. You got Animal Crossing: New Horizons.
If that wins, this thing is rigged, because
that's the phone game, isn't it?
What?
Isn't New Horizons the phone game?
No.
Okay.
New Horizons.
I played like 5 minutes of the new Animal Crossing.
The Switch game.
Okay. New Leaf is the phone game, right?
No,
that's why I'm getting confused.
New Leaf is the 3DS game. Pocket Camp is the phone game.
Pocket Camp, that's what it is.
I love Horizons. Absolutely adore the game, but the multiplayer is dookie.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
It's like
I think the obvious winner of this
really
is Among Us, easy.
Well, all the candidates are Animal Crossing, Among Us, Call of Duty Warzone, Fall Guys, and Valorant.
Yeah. I mean, Fall Guys is good, but I think the aspects of Among Us that are just totally unique in comparison to all the other games, just like the communication aspect and like you have to like deceive others and just the popularity of it, how it blew up this year. I think it's clear that that'll win.
Yeah, I don't see a world where Among Us doesn't win this. It's a pop culture phenomenon, sort of like how Fortnite was.
Right.
But I mean, Fall Guys was really popular for like a few months too. Like I remember Fall Guys was more popular than Among Us when it first
Fall
came
Guys
out.
is a lot of fun, but I think just Among Us is a far more unique experience.
Yeah.
In terms of multiplayer.
I mean, I guess I could see Warzone winning, but I mean, it's really popular, but it's, I don't know. Call of Duty's always been popular.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to sort of...
Yeah, Warzone, in spite of how great it is just too familiar, I feel like, to stand out among the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think,
I'll say
Booba?
Among Us.
Yeah, I'd probably say Among Us as well.
Nice. Best sports racing. Dirt 5, F1 2020, FIFA 21. I always think it's weird that they mix sports and racing. I guess there aren't enough in each category to...
Yeah, the genres suck.
NBA 2K21, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. Man, I hope for the sake of Tony Hawk and just nostalgia that Tony Hawk wins.
Yeah, I bet it does.
But I've heard Dirt 5's pretty cool, but...
Oh, don't, Garrett. Don't even.
I would hope, and I think that Tony Hawk will win this one.
Yeah,
that's my guess.
Yeah, same.
Best sim and strategy.
Who's going to vote Dirt 5? Like, come on.
Dirt 5. Dude, I just heard on Series X, it kicks ass, dude.
Am I dying? Sorry, what category are we doing?
Best sim and strategy. We got Crusader Kings 3, Desperados 3. I've heard Desperados is pretty sick. Gears Tactics, which is, side note, that's really weird like reviews for that game because some people raved about it and then other people are like, this sucks. So I don't know who to trust. Microsoft Flight Simulator and XCOM Chimera Squad. I heard Chimera Squad addresses a lot of the issues people had with XCOM 3. A lot of people have been, really just graphically, people have been freaking out about Flight Simulator.
Yeah, that's literally the only one that I've heard about.
I've heard Desperados 3 is just very cool, and I know nothing about Crusader Kings.
Crusader Kings, I've heard, is phenomenal.
Interesting.
But it looks like a game that I would absolutely fall asleep playing.
Yeah.
It is like all text-based, it looks like, but it has like insane reviews. Like I'm looking up the Metacritic right now. Like I saw it had like several 10 out of 10s. Yeah, it's got a 91 on Metacritic.
Wow.
Dang.
It's got it's got very, very well reviewed. But definitely not my type of game at all.
My guess is that this is Microsoft's year, and I think Flight Simulator takes it home.
Yeah, IGN gave Crusader Kings 3 a 10. Yeah, it's got a couple of 10 out of 10s on Metacritic. But I'm going to say that's my guess to win because I've heard nothing but phenomenal things about that game.
All right, Garrett, where are you at?
I'm going to go just to be different, just to be that guy. Crap, my thing has to refresh.
Don't you say it.
I'm going to get back to that category. Bear with me.
You want me to read them to you?
No, that's all right. I'm almost there. There's a lot of categories. Goodness.
Yeah, every time you call one out, I have to like find the category. I have to look through them all.
Holy crap, there's a lot of categories. I was like, oh, it's like 3 down.
Yeah.
Okay, here it is. I'm going to go Desperados 3.
Okay.
All right, boys. Best family game. New Horizons, Crash Bandicoot. Oh my gosh, why does it have to keep reloading? What is this? Talk about a horrible website, dude. Goodness.
Best family.
You want to read them off to us, Jacob?
Yeah, it's loading. 1 sec. Okay, best family. Animal Crossing New Horizons. Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time. Fall Guys, Ultimate Knockout. Mario Kart Live Home Circuit. Minecraft Dungeons. And the last one is Paper Mario, the Origami King.
Animal Crossing.
I think Animal Crossing wins this by a landslide.
Yep, same.
Easy. Yep, no doubt.
Special shout out to Fall Guys, I guess. That could maybe win, but I don't think so.
All right. Best fighting. We got Grand Blue Fantasy versus Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate, Street Fighter 5 Champion Edition, One Punch Man, a hero nobody knows. I didn't even know there was a game for that.
Yeah, that's not winning.
Under Night and Birth X Late CLR. Title alone, that's not winning. Mortal Kombat Ultimate or 11 Ultimate's going to win.
Yeah, that's the only. That one looks the coolest to me, so I'd pick that one.
Yeah, I mean, any year a new Mortal Kombat's out, how can any fighting game beat it, honestly? NetherRealm are just like the OG fighting game experts. This damn website has to reload every 5 seconds. Sorry. Okay, almost there. We just did best fighting. You have any thoughts on fighting, Jacob?
No, I don't know. I guess Mortal Kombat.
Okay. Best role playing. This is a good one. Final Fantasy VII Remake, Genshin Impact, Persona 5 Royal, Wasteland 3, Yakuza Like a Dragon. Man, all of those are some pretty heavy hitters.
So what I think will win will be Genshin Impact. My personal choice would be Final Fantasy.
Genshin Impact is not going to win.
I bet it does.
Nope.
It's going to be Royal or Final Fantasy.
I Royal's phenomenal. I think Royal is a better game than Final Fantasy VII. But I think with it being like a definitive edition or whatever, I think that kind of degrades it a little bit. But I think Final Fantasy VII Remake will win.
Yeah.
And I think it is well deserving because I think that's a fantastic game as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a great game.
Best action adventure: Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Ghost of Tsushima, Miles Morales. Oh wow, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, Fallen Order. Oh dude, and Last of Us. Dude, these are all like great picks. That's hard, dude.
This is where it gets hard because now you're thinking of like, well, would they even give this to The Last of Us if The Last of Us is going to win Game of the Year? Are they going to spread the love around? You know what I mean? Or are they going to just is The Last of Us going to like sweep when it comes to like action adventure game though? Well, I guess I'm going to contradict myself here because actually I'm not going to overthink it. Typically, when I overthink all this stuff is when I just get everything wrong. So anyways, never mind what I was saying. I'm going to start over. I think Ghost of Tsushima wins this one.
Same. I was going to say Ghost.
That's my choice.
That was a really long tangent to get to that.
I'd love if Fallen Order could get some love, but it's just too familiar. I mean, I think Fallen Order is a great game. It
came out way too long ago.
Yeah, just one too long ago, but secondly, it's too much like other games for it to really stand out. Whereas Tsushima, while it is like familiar in many ways of its open world formula, it's just the art design.
Fallen Order come out? That came out
last year. It came out last
year.
November. It was 1 year ago.
It was like right after the cutoff.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that came out way too long ago.
Like within a couple
Tsushima's
weeks.
combat and it's the beauty of its world and their methods of getting you around that world, especially without like a compass and everything, just really make it special in the sense of action adventure. And that combat, it never got old to me.
Yeah.
And that's what I loved about that's the comparison we made between Valhalla and Tsushima, is that you're fully in control of everything you do in Tsushima, whereas a lot of the animations and stuff play out based on just like button combos of like L1 and square. And he does like some cool attack. It looks cool, but it doesn't feel great because you're not doing it yourself. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I think Tsushima is going to definitely.
I think it looking cool is somewhat debatable as well.
Well, at times, I only unlocked a couple abilities. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's pretty sick, but I haven't seen all of them.
Yeah.
All right, I got to scroll back down again. This website just decides to refresh itself all the time. Okay, best action: Doom Eternal, Hades, Half-Life Alyx, Neo 2, Streets of Rage, Doom Eternal. Calling it.
It's a good category. I mean, for me, it's Doom Eternal, but I think the wrench thrown into the cogs here is Hades.
Yeah, I think so too. Because it's very popular.
Yeah, like you were saying. For some reason, I don't really I haven't followed the like critics too closely when it comes to Doom Eternal, which I think it reviewed well. But every once in a while, people just come out of nowhere saying that they don't like the game for some reason.
Like 2016 is better.
Yeah. So I don't know if that and Hades kind of are making it harder for me to pick one.
I think I could see outlets voting for Hades because I feel like most outlets will vote for Last of Us 2 for Game of the Year, but a lot of outlets have also praised Hades. So they may think, well, if we're not going to vote Hades for Game of the Year, maybe we'll give it Best Action because it is like a phenomenal action game.
Yeah. And it's also Supergiant Games, and they're not like the smallest studio ever, but they're not a big studio. So they'll want to give those guys an extra pat on the back, I think. So
I'll say Hades wins, but I think Doom Eternal is my personal pick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it could go either way. Also, Half-Life Alyx received a lot of praise too.
Yes,
so
which that's already best VR game, like no contest, not even close.
I'm going to stick with Doom, but I can definitely see Hades winning. But I'm going to stick with Doom in hopes that it does win. Gosh, this website, I hate it. Never coming back here again. I'd rather just copy and paste all the answers somewhere. I think we're on to best accessibility. Innovation and accessibility. Valhalla, Grounded, Hyperdot, Last of Us, and Watch Dogs. I think it goes to Last of Us.
Last of Us, easy.
Yeah, it has
what,
like
what does they
million
do
options.
for?
Oh, dude,
What didn't they do?
Yeah,
Like
if you haven't looked at the menus, you can just look up on YouTube like Last of Us Part 2 accessibility options. They actually have a separate video explaining it. It's insane how much you can customize that game.
Huh.
So
I'm not going to do that, but I believe you.
yeah, it's wild.
It's pretty much anything any issue you would ever have in terms of seeing things or hearing things or controlling things is like covered
Addressed.
like and beyond. Like it
Yep.
is.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's another thing that's overlooked that'll contribute to it winning Game of the Year beyond just like the writing and story and gameplay. But I think accessibility is a more popular topic than ever, and I think that will contribute to its success.
Sure.
Best VR AR Dreams.
Half-Life.
Half-Life. Yeah, that's an easy one. Definitely Half-Life. Marvel's Iron Man VR though, dude. Star Wars Squadrons, which I don't think should be overlooked. I've heard Squadrons is pretty sick in VR. And The Walking Dead, Saints and Sinners, which I've also heard is cool.
That is a good game, and that's the thing. I'm sure all those games are good, but Half-Life Alyx is just in a complete league of its own. It's like not even fair.
Alyx is like the testament to what VR is capable of, and like shows the potential what the future holds for VR.
Yeah, like I've never played anything that comes close to Alyx. Like Alyx almost feels like it's a completely different like type of like console. It's just so much better than everything else, if that makes any sense. It's like when I used my headset, it was just better than anything else I had used in it, that it felt like I was using a new headset, if that makes any sense at all.
Best community support: Apex Legends, Destiny 2, Fall Guys, Fortnite, No Man's Sky, Valorant. Dude, I could see this going to No Man's Sky. Best community support.
Yeah, I could see that. It's crazy what that game has become and like how dedicated Hello Games.
It is a great story
was
behind Hello Games and their vigilance to carry on in spite of the poor launch. So
yeah, I never hear any incredible things about all those other games, so I'm going to say No Man's Sky. So
yeah, I'm going to stick with that. I feel good about that one.
Yeah, I think they've sort of rode the ship pretty well, considering how they sank at the start.
Okay.
Best mobile game?
Yep. Among Us. I didn't know that was mobile. Call of Duty Mobile.
Yep.
Genshin, Legends of Runeterra, and Pokemon Cafe Mix.
This one's tricky.
I think Among Us is going to win.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I do too, but Call of Duty Mobile is really popular too, and Genshin Impact is a thing.
Yeah, but I think, you know, my opinion, I think Genshin Impact probably is the best mobile game. But, you know, I just think Among Us, like we were talking about, is such a big deal. And
yeah, I guess it's like, are you looking at this in a sense where Among Us is probably still the most popular game right now, and it's on phones.
Yeah.
But Genshin Impact is a much more impressive game on a mobile device, and it's also being praised universally for different reasons. So I don't know. You could go either way. I'm going to say Genshin.
I'm going to say Among Us.
And then I guess it's also impressive that you can play a multiplayer game of COD Mobile on your phone. That's kind of cool. I've never tried it, so I don't know too much about it. And I don't know anything about Pokemon Cafe Mix.
I've heard it's really bad.
It's a mobile game, so. What about you, Garrett? What do you think?
I think Among Us as well.
Okay.
Best indie: Carry On, Fallout, Fall Guys, Hades, Spelunky 2, Spiritfarer. I think it'll go to Hades.
Same.
Yeah, I'd say that. I agree.
Spiritfarer is really good, though. I've only played a few hours of it, and it is incredibly relaxing.
There it is.
What did we just do? Best any? Okay, best ongoing: Apex, Destiny, Warzone, Fortnite, No Man's Sky. It's hard to beat Fortnite because they're just relentless, but
Yeah.
you got to take into fact that like their budget and their resources are just infinite. So it's like obvious they could like just keep it on going forever with just unique new characters. Like when you bring in Kratos and Master Chief and Marvel, the entire Marvel lineup to your game, like it's hard to compete with that.
Mm-hmm.
And just not to mention all the live events they do that are just unreal. So, I mean, I think it's easy to say Fortnite should win that. I understand like the controversy and like the frustration amongst like people in the gaming community, like, oh, F Fortnite because it's Fortnite. But I mean, budget aside, like they've been insane.
No, I think, I mean, I think that's why it's the best though. It's just it's like they're constantly outdoing themselves, everything else, every single season.
I'd put my money on Warzone. I think it's more popular right now.
Yeah, it's more popular, but like, I think the whole point is it like the ongoing aspect of it. Like, what Warzone,
well, a lot of people have been upset with how Epic has been sort of supporting the game this year. That's why I say that. I mean, I'm not like following the community per se, but I hear a lot of people speak poorly of it.
Wow.
Just from people that I follow on Twitter exclusively.
Okay.
And I hear bad things about the new Destiny 2 expansion. I hear it's fine, but I know some of the content creators are upset about it. Apex has sort of just been existing. I don't know too much about it right now. And then No Man's Sky, I mean, yeah, it's having a good comeback, but I don't know if it's sort of like a popular game per se in terms of these other picks. But I mean, you're right. It might be Fortnite. It could be Warzone or Fortnite, in my opinion. I don't know. But I mean, people complain about Call of Duty too. So it's, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's tough to pick.
I'm going to say Fortnite.
Same. Games for impact. And for context here, it says for a thought-provoking game with a pro-social meaning or message. Our options are If Found, Kentucky Route Zero TV Edition, Spiritfarer, Tell Me Why, Through the Darkest of Times. I don't know anything about any of these games.
Same. I mean, I played Spiritfarer, but I don't really know what the overall message was about because I didn't get too deep into it. So I would just be a complete shot in the dark for me to even pick anything for this.
Yeah, my shot in the dark is going to be If Found.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right. Best performance. We have Ashley Johnson as Ellie, Laura Bailey as Abby, Dasuki Suji as Jin Sakai, Logan Cunningham as Hades, Naji Jeter as Miles Morales.
All right, let's be real here, guys.
Yeah, it's going to be
Ashley or Laura.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Easy. This is the thing about both of them is that they both have like insane scenes that require like brutal acting. And the scene I think stands out most to me for Ashley Johnson is spoiler alert, Joel's death. If you didn't already know that. I think that's her most intense acting in the game. I mean, she has a lot of powerful scenes, but Laura Bailey has some on that level. So I think it's really hard. And I think my challenge in picking between the two of them is that Laura Bailey is just so renowned in the industry that I could see people voting for Ashley because while she's very well recognized at this point, her main like role of her life thus far has been Ellie. And from what I understand, she hasn't won a Game Awards award before, has she?
Are you sure? Did she not win it for Last of Us Part 1?
Did she? I can't remember.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
I would
feel
find
like
it hard to believe her beating Troy Baker if both of them were on that game.
Yeah, I don't know if they separated it. Yeah, I don't know. I could see Laura Bailey winning this. Honestly.
I could see Laura Bailey winning on two accounts. One, just because she's amazing in the game, but also I could see some outlets just wanting to spite all the haters and voting for her. Just to be like, see, told you she's an amazing character. But I do love Laura Bailey in Last of Us 2. It's really hard to choose between the two of them, though.
She did. She won Best Female Performance.
Ashley Johnson did?
Yeah, for The Last of Us.
Okay. Maybe it'll go to Bailey then.
I mean,
I think...
I don't know who I would pick, honestly. I think both of them have just, like, incredible scenes in the game. But like you said, the one that sticks with you the most is that one that you were talking about. Man, I don't know. It's so hard.
I would give it to Ashley personally, just because.
All right,
I don't know.
I'm gonna be different. Then I'm gonna say Laura Bailey.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really hard. I'm gonna go with Ashley as well.
I mean, especially when I think about all the crap that Laura has gotten as well for playing. Abby.
For sure. Yeah, just to award her for like putting up with all that too.
And just for her to do Abby and keep it a secret for as long as they did and stuff, I think is really cool as well. I know that it's still best performance, but it's man. I'm gonna say Laura Bailey. Even just all that other stuff is cool, but I still think her like actual performance in the game is incredible. Ashley's is as well, but I'll just be different than y'all and say Laura.
Yeah. All right. Best audio design.
Doom Eternal, Half-Life Alyx, Ghost of Tsushima, Resident Evil 3, and Last of Us Part 2.
Dude, I think The Last of Us.
You've played all of Alyx. What's the audio like in Alyx? And I ask because it's VR. It's meant to be extremely immersive.
I mean, it's good.
It didn't really blow your mind.
Stand out. I mean, everything else in that game was so mind blowing to me. I wasn't really paying attention to the sound. You know. I think The Last of Us is going to win this one.
Yeah, I was going to say between Doom and Last of Us. Doom because just it's a unique style of sound design. I mean, objectively, it's like good sound design, but it's also just very creative. Like in terms of the weapon sounds, the demon sounds, the soundscapes of the environments here, and it's very unique in that sense. Mm-hmm. But in terms of just like a realistic, atmospheric, immersive type of sound design, I think Last of Us is extremely effective, especially when you're wearing a headset.
Yeah, I mean, just like getting a headshot in The Last of Us is just the nastiest sound.
And to think about all like the gurgling and stuff when you stab someone in the throat is brutal.
Just as they're like, this sounds like so sadistic, but just like people just like, you don't just kill somebody, they're just like screaming and like begging for their lives and stuff. It's just like the sound of that game just adds so much to it. And like you said, just builds that world out so much that it actually, that's one of the few games where the sound like actually stood out to me.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
Best score and music. This is an intense category. Doom Eternal, Final Fantasy Remake.
Oh man.
Hades, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, Last of Us Part 2. I think the biggest three are, of course, Doom, Final Fantasy, and Hades. From what little I've played of Hades, it really does have awesome music. But I think the two biggest ones are Doom and Final Fantasy. Yeah. I think Doom's going to win just because people rave about the soundtrack, but I think Final Fantasy deserves it.
I think Final Fantasy is going to win, and it deserves it. As much as I agree. Freaking love Doom, Final Fantasy soundtrack sent me to like another planet when I was playing that game.
The music in that game is so good.
Yeah, I think there are there's two opinions on Doom Eternal soundtrack. It's either that's kick-ass metal music, and there's the other crowd that's like that's pure noise. Whereas Final Fantasy, I think unanimously everyone would say that's beautiful, epic orchestral music. So I think it makes sense as to why Final Fantasy would win.
The sound of going from, a little bit spoiler alert, when you and Aerith are going to market, what's it called? Come on, dude. I've played this game a million times. Completely blank.
You going to her house?
No, when you leave her house at night and you're going to market, oh my gosh. I have to look it up really quick.
Yeah, Final Fantasy has more than one really great song while you're playing the game.
Wall Market,
and they just keep popping in.
I think it's Wall. Yeah, right? Wall Market. My bad. Yeah, so you're going to Wall Market, and when she jumps out and spooks you, and I believe it's called Midnight Rendezvous, plays as you're talking and see Wall Market in the distance. It is freaking gorgeous. And then you go into the collapsed expressway and that kicks in, and then you get into the actual fight theme of the collapsed expressway. It was like 3 songs back to back where I was just like, holy crap. There hasn't been like a game with a soundtrack that, you know, made me just like audibly go, geez, like as I was playing it. That was just 3 bangers back to back to back.
You remember the dance routine?
Yeah.
When you get to
dude,
I love that.
And just the battle theme of the classic battle theme is just freaking amazing. And then the remix they do for the squatting and pull-up mini game for that is also incredible as well. So yeah, this game has to win, dude. So many good songs.
I agree.
Also love the was it the Airbuster?
Yeah,
boss?
That's a good one.
That's great music too.
Yeah, dude.
Best art direction: Final Fantasy VII, Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, Ori, Last of Us.
I think. Oh,
and these are all great.
This one
They're all
gets
beautiful.
Really,
I'd like to say Tsushima for this.
Hades or Tsushima for me.
Yeah, but then Ori is freaking gorgeous as well.
It is stunning.
It is.
Yeah, this is where it gets.
I bet you Ori won this award though when it first came out. The first game. I bet you they did.
I don't think we've seen. I mean, it's obviously it's a surreal take on like feudal Japan, but we haven't really seen that before in Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah,
like, that game really
like that.
is just unbelievably beautiful. Hades is great. I mean, it's
Hades
awesome
is
art
very
style.
stylistic. It's very
that's where this gets confusing for me because I tend to pick the most stylized game.
Yeah,
and that one like almost never wins. So I think I'm gonna say Ghost of Tsushima as well. Just that game has so many environments like pop and stuff, like the golden forest and stuff. Like I think there's enough of those areas that makes it stand out and enough to win.
Best narrative.
Oh baby,
this is easily Last of Us. 13 Sentinels, Final Fantasy, Ghost, Hades, Last of Us.
Yeah, it's got to be The Last of Us.
Yep.
Personally, I like Final Fantasy VII more, but Last of Us will probably win.
I mean,
let's be real.
Don't get me wrong. I freaking love Final Fantasy VII, but the narrative of that game is absolutely insane.
Oh, yeah. Of course.
I love it, though, for that, but I definitely think The Last of Us is going to win.
Yeah, I don't see how Last of Us doesn't win.
Yeah.
I really
This
don't.
is where Last of Us starts taking over, I think. The next one is Best Game Direction. It's Final Fantasy, Ghost, Hades, Half-Life, and Last of Us.
Last of Us.
Yep.
Best Game Direction. Awarded for outstanding creative vision and innovation and game direction.
The innovation is the key word that throws me off a bit because I to this day don't think gameplay wise there's much innovation in Last of Us Part 2. This is kind of a hot take too, something I was going to talk about in our own Game of the Year discussion, but I think Last of Us Part 2 is like the experience of the year, but I think there are technically like better gameplay experiences of the year, but I think it's 100%. The total package. Last
if we're
of Us
talking
is
about
the experience
innovation
of the year.
Like, does Half-Life Alyx win this then?
That's a great question. Like, that's a really solid question.
I mean, Hades is innovative in a sense that, I mean, I don't know. I haven't played it, but...
The only innovative aspect of Ghost, aside from the beauty of the world, is just the way you traverse that world, I think. And even the traversal isn't that spectacular, but I think that just like the wind aspect is an interesting idea.
Yeah.
I think the elimination of a mini-map is the only innovative aspect. And the combat's pretty sick, too, but... I think innovation, that keyword is most applicable to the elimination of the mini-map, but I think Alyx is like a strong contender now that you say that, because that is like truly innovative.
I don't know if people
VR.
are going to take innovation really like...
Yeah, remove that word, it instantly goes to Last of Us.
Yeah, because I just think the way that game was just put together and
you played in a very unique way from other games. And so in terms of the story, like you go through it sort of once, then you kind of go through it again.
Yeah. I don't know. That kind of just stands out to me. Just everything, how that game was directed for just everything to just be as polished as it was, and for, like you said, for how it was put together.
And then at the same time, you have the flashbacks too. It's adding more development.
Then just when you think about direction, the way that, like, Neil, I mean, regardless of what you could say about the story, the way that the actors were like directed and stuff, it's
and
just
those scenes. Yeah, those scenes like still are with me.
Yeah, there's nothing that comes even close to that.
I still say Alex.
I'm gonna stick with Last of Us on this, but Alex is a good choice for sure. All right, gents, game of the year. Doom.
Here it is.
Final Fantasy, Ghost, Hades, Animal Crossing, Last of Us.
I mean,
I could see any of these winning, but Doom Eternal or Ghost. But if I had to pick one, probably The Last of Us Part 2. Honestly. But is there a world where Animal Crossing wins? Yeah.
No.
I feel like a lot of people played that and a lot of people fell in love with it.
Yeah, but it's not game of the year.
Is there a world where Final Fantasy wins? Maybe. That's what I would pick, I think. But it is just a remake, so you have to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
And then Hades. I haven't played it, so it's hard for me to really know how great it is. I just know a lot of people like it. So I'm leaning towards The Last of Us.
I mean,
for all three of these,
I think The Last of Us is going to win this, especially the people that are actually voting for it. This game did incredibly well with actual like critics, and the people that are a part of this board. And I mean, as far as I know, and I'm pretty sure The Last of Us, they already did the fan voting for the Game Awards, and it won Game of the Year as well.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I think The Last of Us is going to win.
Yeah.
And it is my personal game of the year as well.
Hey, hold your horses. We're not there yet.
In terms of these games.
Yeah, wait for Cyberpunk. Come on. So I think that's it, dude. We'll see how we do. I mean, probably won't remember what I picked, but we'll see how close we are.
Pretty good memory this year, I think.
Oh, my bad. The Game Awards, as of now, is in the final round of voting, but The Last of Us is winning with 43% of the vote. Ghost of Tsushima is in second place with 31%.
Okay.
But yeah, I think Last of Us will win.
Who has the lowest amount of votes?
Miles Morales.
Oh.
It has like 3%.
That's too bad.
4%, my bad. Yeah, Doom Eternal's at 9, Hades is at 14, Ghost of Tsushima's at 31, Last of Us at 43.
All right, what's our new? That's not our only story, right? I think we have a couple more. I don't have the notes pulled up at the moment.
Oh, dude, this is a long podcast. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
We'll be light on these.
Yep.
Last of Us series has officially been greenlit. I think it's only a matter of time. We'll probably hear in the coming months who they cast as Joel and Ellie. So that's exciting. It's definitely happening, and just the people involved. I mean, Neil Druckmann's involved. The lady who was sort of the behind the scenes showrunner of Game of Thrones. The guy who was involved with Chernobyl. I mean, those are, and the fact that Neil Druckmann's helping write and produce it. I think it's going to be really difficult to mess this up. So I have a lot of high hopes for this.
Yeah.
I mean, I know like Last of Us, it's kind of like the same thing I say about like the Uncharted movie. I mean, Uncharted, the game series is already so cinematic that you really don't need a movie. But for the masses of people that have not played The Last of Us, this should be a pretty cool story for them to witness. So hopefully it's as well done as the game. Obviously not like a beat for beat remake, although you need a lot of the critical scenes from the game for it to have the same impact, I think. But hopefully they'll add some tidbits here and there and expand on it, with it being a mini series to a point where I think that's what they say in the article, like it expands on the game versus just making it a total 1-for-1 remake. Yeah. So any thoughts on that, Preston?
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I don't know. I'm just interested in it because like the main, if they have to do these characters right for this to work, you know. So
yeah, I'm for some reason, I'm typically always open to unknown actors filling roles, but for some reason, I feel like a known actor needs to fill the role of Joel. I don't know why I feel that way.
Okay.
And there are a lot of people that have been pitched, like from fans over the years, but I'm not sure I'd go with. I think a strong contender would be the guy from Jamie from Game of Thrones. I think he'd make a pretty good Joel.
The
someone
girl
like Josh
that
Brolin
has
could do it.
to play Ellie is I'm completely blanking on her name. I'm gonna find her real quick.
But many good options for Joel, definitely.
Yeah, I'll definitely watch this when it comes out. I hope it's going to be good.
That's the thing, though. They also have to find a Joel and an Ellie who have tremendous chemistry, because that is, I mean, that's the thing about, I mean, you got to have a great director. You have to have, ultimately, the script matters most, but you also have to have an amazing casting director.
Caitlin.
Who cast the right people.
Caitlin Dever is my pick to play.
Is.
Yeah, dude, look her up. She would be the perfect Ellie.
Is it Caitlin with a C or a K?
Okay.
Yeah, she would. She looks like her.
Yeah, she's in this.
Oh yeah, okay.
My parents like some show they watch on TV. She's a part of it, and when I saw her, I was like, "Holy crap, that has to be Ellie."
I think she's older now, though. Is the problem?
No, dude, I've just saw something with her in it recently, and she looks the exact same.
Nice.
Yeah, I could see that.
Speaking of Naughty Dog, Druckmann has been what's the word I'm looking for? Why am I blanking?
Promoted to co-president.
Yeah, to co-president.
Yeah.
Which is no surprise. I mean, he's been with the company for 16 years. And look at all the success they've had with him, for the most part, at the helm of their big hitters over the last several years.
Yeah.
Longer than several years. I mean, Uncharted, he was involved in Uncharted 2 as well, right? Or is it just 4? I mean, I know he's involved, but like, I guess he helped direct 4. And then, of course, Last of Us before that. And
I'm pretty sure he has writing credits on 2. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Him and Amy Hennig, at least.
And, of course, with Last of Us Part 2. So, and I think it's cool, too, that he isn't just merely the president, co-president, which I think is so bizarre. There's a co-president. I think that's a clear sign that the current president will eventually step down and Druckmann will be the president of Naughty Dog. But I think it's cool in the article he states that he will remain to direct and write and be heavily involved with mentoring a lot of the creatives at Naughty Dog, which I think is really cool because he has such a profound legacy there and is clearly amazing at what he does, that to have the younger creatives that are sort of following the path he's been on, for him to be there to mentor like the next generation of Naughty Dog developers and creatives is really cool.
Yeah.
So bright future ahead for that studio. Not that we didn't expect any different, but that's cool.
For sure. I'm really excited to see what they work on next.
Besides, I think it's time. It's time for them to do something new.
Yeah, well, we know they're going to work on that multiplayer that was in. It's going to be separate,
and hopefully a PS5 up-res of, or at least performance of Last of Us Part 2.
That's got to be coming.
Like a 60 FPS mode would be sick. Even if it was just that, I'd be happy. But I could see Naughty Dog going out of their way to like upgrade some textures and stuff too, and like minor.
I want to see ray tracing in that game with Seattle, just like all the buildings and stuff, like glass.
And all the water in that game too.
Oh yeah, I think that would look ridiculous.
Oh yeah, especially because that's the thing they have. There is like fake ray tracing in many parts of that game. I mean, I straight up saw like fake ray tracing in blood puddles in that game that really blew my mind. But like legitimate reflections and stuff like that would be really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, 60 FPS I'd love, and maybe some minor texture upgrades and stuff.
For sure.
Not that game already wasn't practically photorealistic to begin with.
Yeah.
It's insane.
I'm so pumped to see what they do with PS5. Like something completely built up for
they pumped out every last ounce of PlayStation 4's power with Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah.
Like, talk about fulfilling the potential of a machine. Like, they packed everything they could out of that.
Yeah. Almost made my PS4 Pro melt through my entertainment center.
Yep. And Bioware, pretty big news. Casey Hudson and Mark Dara are leaving. And all current projects are going to carry on.
Oh boy!
They kind of named like some of the like temporary people who were filling their positions till like the new people are hired or promoted. I don't really have much thoughts in this other than like Bioware is. I don't even know what to think about Bioware anymore. I don't think it's like a death sentence for them, but it's definitely a big deal.
So someone is not agreeing over there. Like someone is like, wasn't it like just a year ago where Casey Hudson rejoined Bioware?
I think he came back just
2014
before Anthem was released. Casey Hudson, I think it was 2017. He came back.
That's right. I think he left originally in 2014. I think it's what the article says.
I thought it was a lot earlier than that, or sooner, like recent than that. But I guess I'm wrong. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know what to say. I don't know.
All I say is that it's someone's destiny at BioWare. Whoever's going to creatively helm, or whoever they named who's creatively helming these projects, it's like it's their time to shine, dude. It's now or never. Because if they put out another bad game, like especially if it's like if Dragon Age kind of sucks, if Anthem Next also tanks, I don't know what to say. I know apparently they have a new team working on the next Mass Effect, but Andromeda is giving me little hope for whatever they do next. I mean, thankfully we have the remastered trilogy coming, but other than that, like I can't think of anything BioWare's doing that I have much faith in right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're gonna see a sneak peek or something about the new Dragon Age at the Game Awards.
Yeah,
dude, gameplay or nothing. Don't give me any more concept art.
I just have a feeling it's just gonna be just some stupid teaser.
Like we're working like the Mass Effect teaser like E3 or whatever it was a few years ago.
Yeah,
it's like we're working really hard, and like BTS shots of people at their computers and stuff, and like a unrendered model like running in place.
Mm-hmm.
So no thanks. Give us something legit or get out.
Yeah.
All right, gang. AskIOG. AskIOG is the part of the show where we answer your questions submitted through any of our socials at ItsObviousGaming, the AskIOG section of our Discord channel, or emailed to us at itsobviousgaming@gmail.com. And if you want your question read live in the show, always include the hashtag AskIOG. Question 1 comes from Big Nasty. We can probably get through this pretty quick. We don't want to dwell. It's been a long podcast.
Big Nasty.
Thanks for writing in on Twitter. It says, best COD, or if you want to break it down to best campaign, multiplayer, third game mode, zombies, extinction, spec ops, etc. I could probably fill this out pretty quick myself. I'm going to say best multiplayer for me, just off the top of the dome, is original Modern Warfare 4 or Black Ops 2, probably.
Garrett, it's called Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare.
Yeah, dude, I think the funniest joke I've seen in a while is when Donkey's like, Call of Duty 17, Black Ops 5, Cold War. That was amazing.
Now it's even worse. It's Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War.
Yeah. I'm going to go. Yeah, I think those are actually, I'd say Modern Warfare 2 is probably like, I mean, I love the original Call of Duty 4, but I think Modern Warfare 2 or Black Ops 2 are my two favorite multiplayers. Best third mode would be Zombies Transit mode. Is my favorite zombies mode of all time. And best campaign is Infinite Warfare.
Which one?
Infinite Warfare.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Infinite Warfare. That campaign was really good.
That was going to be my hot take,
man.
Garrett. Yeah, Infinite Warfare is also my favorite campaign. Probably multiplayer, I'd say Modern Warfare 2. Zombies, don't care. I've never liked zombies.
Dude, the memories we have at Zach's parents' house on 2 different TVs, 8 players playing zombies mode is like some of the most fun I've ever had with you guys.
That map was a lot of fun.
Transit mode was just hours on end. It was so fun.
I can't tell you how many times I got left behind on the bus.
That's the best. You got to fight through that tunnel and those ghouls are like all over your head the whole time. Yeah. So much fun.
That would be my zombies multiplayer Black Ops 2 for me. That was when I was most into COD. And then campaign, Infinite Warfare.
Nice.
Probably.
I mean, there are some other great ones. I think honorable mention for campaign would be original. What's the one that came out just now? Black Ops. Black Ops 1 as honorable mention. I also think Modern Warfare 2's campaign is awesome.
Yeah, that one's great.
It's a little dated now in terms of like how Call of Duty's advanced, but it's still really solid. Those are the honorable mentions for me. Onward. Bruce Bogtrotter writes in and says, have you guys gone to bi-weekly now? I miss your voices weekly. We have not officially gone bi-weekly. It's just kind of worked out that way based on our schedules. We do aim to continue to do it weekly, so we apologize for the breaks in between these episodes recently.
Yep, the podcast releases when we have time to do it.
Yeah.
That's our schedule.
Yeah, pretty much.
It'd be nice if we could do it every week. We'll see.
Joe being 15 writes in and says, hey boys, I've been keeping up with The Mandalorian and it got me thinking about the bounty hunting video game you all pitched a long time ago. I would absolutely love for EA or literally any other studio to do a bounty hunting game that's a prequel to The Mandalorian. We get to see Mando join the guild, go on bounties, buy his ship, and upgrade his sweet collection of weapons. EA's license to Star Wars ends in 2023, so what studio would you like to see tackle a project like this or any others? Also would like to see anything else in the hypothetical game I've been dreaming of for months. Stay safe out there. I mean, I think what you described would be cool. Yeah, the bounty hunting game we pitched was a little too ambitious. It was just totally unrealistic, I think, at least for the current, even now, like at this generation, probably unrealistic. But I mean, The Mandalorian is basically a live action RPG that we're watching. Really, really enjoyable to watch. I actually have some thoughts on Mandalorian recently. I'm really enjoying it, but there's some problems I have with it. But the game, I think just a bounty hunting game makes total sense for Star Wars. We've had bounty hunting games before. I mean, I loved the Jango Fett game when I was a kid. I'm sure it totally sucks, but when I was a kid, it felt really cool. I think a bounty hunting game in the likes of like Hitman, for example. Is it IO Interactive who does Hitman?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that correct, Preston?
IO Interactive?
Yeah.
Yeah, they do Hitman.
Okay. I think a bounty hunting game like that could be pretty sweet. Speaking of Hitman, dude, I've seen so many stealth gamer videos from Hitman that I'm like dying to play Hitman now. As I know Hitman 3 is out like early next year, but something about it just clicked for me watching a video last night. I was like, I want to play that so bad. And the only reason I'm not is because Cyberpunk's out this week, but that's like shot to the top of my backlist for the time being. I don't know why, but really want to play Hitman.
You know they're doing a Bond game next, right?
I have heard that. It's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool.
I always think of the Everything or Nothing Bond game that Preston and I played as kids. I think it had Pierce Brosnan as the protagonist. And the song's like, give me everything or nothing. That's how the song goes.
Classic.
Yeah.
My answer's kind of a cop-out, but I would love FromSoft to take over the reins of Jedi Fallen Order and give us a real Jedi Souls game. Like, just...
You don't like Respawn's Jedi?
It's fine. I mean, I kept thinking, like, when I was playing it, like, what if this was just like Dark Souls in a sense where, you know, like it's even harder. I mean, I played it on normal, so maybe if I played it on hard, it would have been more like it. But I don't know. I just think, like, not that the world didn't do a lot of storytelling in what Respawn made, but I don't know. It didn't feel like Dark Souls did in the sense that they're the same style of game, I guess. And I don't know.
I don't even think they're the same
really
style of game. The combat might be a little similar, but Jedi Fallen Order is a Metroidvania pretty much.
It has similar feels to some From Software game, though, like the ways the enemies attack and like
that's
and then like unlocking shortcuts and checkpoints and stuff.
I guess
it feels
saying
familiar in that sense.
Yeah, I would like to see what From Software would do with it.
But I still think that, you know, just the Metroid, the getting a power up to be able to come back to another planet to cross this particular path and stuff is you know, it's not like, you know. I wouldn't categorize it as like a true Souls-like game. I think that has it's like a Souls. It
just has some influences there.
Yeah, no, 100%. I'm not disagreeing with that, but I don't know. I personally never thought playing it, but like, man, I wish From Software could get a hold of this.
Yeah. Well, I would like to see what they would if they did. Is what I'm saying, I guess.
Okay.
How it would be different. And if it wasn't just like a Jedi game either, like you could have different styles of play. And there's like a process to going about doing that, maybe. I don't know. Or you just pick different builds, sort of like Demon Souls, maybe. I don't know. I think that could be fun.
I will say, I think Fallen Order has some great combat, but I think the most fun I've had with like sword melee type combat has been in Ghost of Tsushima. I'd rather them take an approach like that with lightsaber combat, honestly. I mean, not like exactly like the style of a samurai, but the way that game feels to fight is just very fun to me. I'd rather it be like that. Because for the most part, especially with like the one-shot kills you can do in Ghost, it makes so much more sense with a lightsaber versus like fighting a stormtrooper for 5 minutes, just like beating him to death with your laser sword. It's like a Nerf sword sometimes in Fallen Order, where I'd rather have that realistic take. Like if you finesse your combat and you're skilled with your parries, you can just take out a stormtrooper instantly. That'd be more fun to me. Personally.
That's a good idea.
Random thought.
A penny for your thoughts.
I'm excited to see what they do next, with this being the first game, they've made that wasn't an FPS, I think it was a, fantastic first go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but Joe Bing, to answer your question in terms of a studio I'd like to see tackle it, this is going to sound insane, but I feel like BioWare could redeem themselves with a game like that, because they have made a third-person, semi-open world RPG action experience with Mass Effect. And I'm specifically thinking Mass Effect 2 and 3. That'd be a similar idea I'd have for a bounty hunting game.
Well, I mean, they made, what was it?
Especially with your ship traversing the galaxy. I mean, that just writes itself for the most part. You wouldn't want it to be like a carbon copy of Mass Effect meets Star Wars, but similar aspects.
Well, what were the Star Wars games they made in the past? What were they called again?
BioWare? Old Republic.
Yeah, Old Republic.
Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah, Knights of the Old Republic. I would just like to see that again.
Yeah.
I still think we need a remake of Knights of the Old Republic or something.
I know. I've yet to successfully finish either of those games just because they are just so old. They are just I don't know.
I got some major jank for sure.
Yeah. And I don't have any nostalgia for them either. So there's nothing to like, there's no nostalgia to allow me to play them. It's just hard to jump in, not having, played them.
Did you guys have any other devs tackle this one?
A Star Wars game?
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I did not understand this question at all. I apologize. Because Jacob's whole point about From Software taking on Star Wars makes total sense now, actually knowing what the question was. So, I'm sorry. Just completely ignore me there. I thought that was just a random comment you had made.
Yeah. I appreciate your feedback.
Yeah.
Hey, quick wish list for the Fallen Order sequel. I have 2 wishes. One's like a variant of my second wish. First wish, combat more like Tsushima. Second wish would be a split path where you could go dark or light, or you just play a full-on Sith like Padawan versus playing as the same character as before.
Mm-hmm. You could fit all of that into a new Knights of the Old Republic from BioWare, I feel like.
That'd be a very ambitious title.
Yeah. I feel like with a big enough budget, you could get it done, though.
Yeah, let's just get CD Projekt Red on a Star Wars RPG.
Yeah,
I'm
honestly.
Let's do it.
I mean, Witcher 3 combat's pretty close to brutal lightsaber combat.
Yeah, that's what I said. I felt like a medieval lightsaber playing Witcher.
Yeah, you're like a medieval Jedi. That's exactly what you are.
What did I say? Did I not?
Studio?
No, did I say mid? I can't remember if I said middle.
You said medieval. You said
I meant medieval Jedi, but then when you said it, I couldn't remember if I said that or medieval lightsaber for some reason.
Yeah, medieval lightsaber.
Okay. I meant Jedi.
Yeah, very much so.
Because a medieval lightsaber is just a sword.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any wishes for the next Jedi game from Respawn, Jacob?
I mean, I think we've talked about it in the past, but I'd always like more places to go in that game, more worlds. I think we talked about the possibility of them sort of making other characters that you meet in the game playable, maybe, or companions in some sort. I don't know. Those are the two main things for me. It's kind of hard because you don't want to like break the lore of what Star Wars is, so you don't want to like make Cal able to do all these crazy things that make the game just for making the game funner or something like that. So I don't know. Maybe need to put in more things in terms of gameplay mechanics or just game modes or something, some ways to interact with the world differently. I'm not really sure. Maybe give them a dark arc and do some force lightning. I don't know. There's a lot of ways they could go, maybe, just depending on what kind of story they want to tell.
Yeah.
But the game has a lot of potential. I do agree. And I did really enjoy it. I think I gave it my game of the year last year. I think.
Nice.
I don't know. I don't remember things.
Well, Nolan writes in and says, top of the morning. Bow. I've been busy with work now that I deliver for FedEx. I haven't really had the time to dive into the Discord, been relying on the podcast, so thank you. Since the PS5 release, I've delivered many consoles to happy people. However, one apartment en route, I have delivered 8 consoles and many accessories to the one guy. Holy crap. I know there was the one household rule, but that clearly can be broken. Do you think this has happened a lot and hurt the release from really getting to more customers? Love you guys. Hope all is well. I think Preston's the best person to answer this.
Has it hurt? Yeah. I mean, it sucks that, some people were able to secure several. I mean, there was this, I can't remember if it was a company. I don't know. Somebody overseas was able to get like 3,500 consoles or something.
Insane,
just ridiculous. I know they have these bots that just go on these websites and just buy everything. So yeah, I mean, that sucks.
You have personal experience with like the theft and weird.
I can say I ordered 4 PlayStations, not to be
freaking scalper,
not
bro.
to be a complete butthole. Well, one of them is mine, one of them is yours that you have. The other one, the other 2 were just for people that if they decided they wanted one, but now it is for a friend of our son, and my sister is wanting to give the other one to her fiance for Christmas. But 2 of the ones that I ordered from Walmart got infinitely delayed, and pretty much my account said that they had showed up at the store, but they just went missing. And this was 2 days after the release, so it's been a very long time. And I have spoken with customer service several times. They have no clue what's going on, but eventually, I actually got a guy on the inside that through my uncle, a guy who works back in the tech department or whatever, and he has been doing some snooping around for me. And ultimately, what I found out yesterday is that there was an employee there who stole like 5 or 6 consoles and was arrested. Yeah. So I'm assuming one of mine were stolen by that person, which I was assuming that was the case anyways, because customer service was telling me that they just lost both of them. And we know how hard that is. I mean, the boxes are freaking huge, and I'm just supposed to believe that 2 of them just like rolled underneath a shelf or something.
Yeah, they're on a random shelf somewhere. They'll find it.
Yeah, exactly. So no, I even told the person that I was like, do you honestly expect me to believe that they just went missing like that? No way. So my suspicions were proved to be correct, that they were stolen, and they're working to get me 2 from their next shipment in. So hopefully, I can get both of them. But it sucks that there are people that are able to buy so many of them. I just hope that these different websites can come up with better ways to prevent that from happening. I don't. Mm-hmm. I think PlayStation.
These people are ravenous.
Yeah, like I mean, it's happening with everything, like GPUs and consoles. It's just pretty much every new tech device that's coming out. This holiday is just people are killing for it. I was absolutely shocked that the T-Mobile that I went into to get my phone had as many iPhones as they did. Because
really?
they had like every color, full stock pretty much. They told me, because I'd just been reading online that the new iPhone 12s were included in all of this like hubbub going around with everything being limited. But
yeah, I don't know. I haven't really heard that, but I also don't follow a bunch of like people that rave about phones.
Yeah,
so I don't really feel like I'm in that.
No,
market.
I'm not following that, but I just remember just in these articles that we're talking about consoles and stuff, they also would mention phones.
Mm-hmm.
So
that makes sense to me.
Yeah,
that's cool. You was able to get one. Did you like pick red? Did they have black too?
Yeah, they had every color. Yeah.
You're just like, man, I'm feeling red today.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a bold choice. I've always liked those. Isn't it like a charity?
Yeah.
Version.
Yep. It's called Product Red. I think all the money's going to COVID-19 stuff this year. At least that's what I thought I read.
Yeah, they must change it all the time.
Yeah, I got a clear case
cool.
as well, so you can actually see the red.
Is your phone signed by Bono?
By Bono? Not yet. They're actually going to send them over to my house and sign it for me. So
you lucky dog.
Yeah, I'm just waiting now.
What's our next
that's
one?
That's all I
Garrett?
have to say about that.
I think we have one more.
Nice. Bohongales. Kyle writes in and says, "Hey boys, so the long-awaited Genshin Impact is out, and I've been no-lifing it for the past couple of days." I think Kyle wrote this in a while ago. I apologize, Kyle.
The Genshin came out a while ago.
Super quality game, front-loaded with a bunch of great content so far. One thing about the game is that it takes heavy inspiration from Breath of the Wild in its systems and improves on just about every aspect where Zelda fell short, in my opinion. Story, music, world, combat annoyances, world design, quest design, basically the entire game, Kyle's saying. So for my question, what game needs a Genshin treatment? Something you recently played that fell short because of some design decisions that if were fixed would make it a far better game. Love you boys and keep up all the good work. If you guys pick up Genshin and want to do co-op sometime, just hit me up and we can touch tips or something. I don't know.
Please, let's do that.
After you guys, I'd have to think about this. I'm not sure.
Yeah, why you got to hit me with this hard question right now?
Forgive me, Kyle. Kyle typically has the thought-provoking questions, the ones that require a bit of brain power. Dang, dude. The Genshin treatment. I mean, we've said games in the past like, oh, this superhero needs the Arkham treatment. Like Spider-Man, for example, got the Arkham treatment. And not that it's like even remotely the same kind of game, but like got the respect and quality development time from a renowned studio that it deserved, is sort of what we're thinking.
Mm-hmm. This is such a tough question for me.
It was kind of mediocre. That's the thing. I can't recall the last time I played a truly mediocre game because I'm pretty specific about which games I actually invest in these days. I think it's very hard to pick up a game not knowing if it's good or not. I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, every game is subjective.
You see how spoiled we are with like playing all these great games all the time.
I know. I mean, every game is, people's opinions are obviously very subjective, but I do a lot of careful research before I play a game. Like I see at least a trailer, at least a gameplay demo, and read or listen to at least one review from a trusted source before I pay for a game. So I mean, there are exceptions to that. Like Cyberpunk, I'm picking up regardless.
Yeah, that game could get a 2 out of 10 from everybody, and I would still buy it.
Yeah, I'm still gonna play it. Yeah, some games though that I'm not totally hyped for, that I'm just interested in, or typically I do more careful research on. So it's hard because I haven't really truly played something that was kind of mediocre to me in a while. I feel like Preston should have a strong answer to this because Preston plays a ton of games. So I think Preston, you've got to have at least some idea.
Exactly understand what the question is.
Like a game that you feel like, oh, I see what this is going for, or like this, that, or the other, and like it needs this kind of treatment. For example, Genshin Impact took pages out of Breath of the Wild's book, and Kyle thinks they improved on those pages, whereas Spider-Man got what we would call the Arkham treatment.
I'll say just an overall developer. I would love for Spiders to get, either some help or get more funding behind their games, because I think
the potential is there.
The potential is there for sure. Like Greedfall had a lot of potential, and I still think it was a fun game. And I believe they're getting a PS5 update and just announced some DLC coming as well. And it sold over 1 million copies. So it's like people, they have this group of people that follow them and stuff, but they're so close to, if they can just get out of the kind of jankiness of the combat, and that's mainly the only thing they really, if they were to greatly exceed in, it would just make the rest of, what am I trying to say? The writing and the RPG mechanics of their games are really good. It's just the combat that's kind of janky. So if they could, get some help or potentially some more funding and make that like one of the like big things about their game, combat that is, really engaging, something that's fun to actually do, I think that would help out, a lot. That's really the only thing I can think of. The most mediocre game I've played recently was Watch Dogs 3, or Legion or whatever, and I don't really want them to get a treatment of any kind. I would like for them to kind of just make Splinter Cell instead, honestly.
Dude, what's I know I played something recently I wasn't stoked about. What was it? I was like, Avengers. That game sucks.
I forgot about that.
Holy crap, that sucks. I only played the beta. I was like, I have had my fill of that garbage.
I was such an idiot.
What would
bought
make
that
game good?
What would have made it good?
Yeah, what would have
just
made that
the
game
exact
good?
opposite approach they took? Anything but that. Like treat it like Insomniac has treated Spider-Man. I mean, I know it's probably a Square Enix was heavily involved in that decision, but goodness gracious, poor Crystal Dynamics, dude. They have Tomb Raider ripped from their hands and that garbage placed in their hands. Like, this is how you're gonna do it. It sucks, man.
I mean, I remember being excited about it way back when it was announced.
Mm-hmm. I don't think Valhalla's mediocre by any means. I just don't think I'm gonna go back to it. I played for about 8 to 10 hours and thought it was pretty cool, but I'm not going to finish it.
Yeah.
The problem with Assassin's Creed is that it doesn't have an identity anymore. It's whatever it needs to be to try to make the most money right now. Like it's never defined itself. Like it used to be a thing, like with, I guess, like the Ezio series. And then they started like making it less about being an assassin. Like,
I feel
you're
like
a pirate
Unity
now.
was the last truly pretty cool Assassin's Creed game.
I'd say
definitely had a lot of glitches, but it had like that sick parkour system, and the stealth was pretty good. And I didn't think the co-op was terrible. And I thought the story was a little underwhelming, but I thought it was unique that like his like stepsister or whatever was going toward the Templars, and he was
that wasn't his stepsister. That was his.
Who was it again?
That was his love interest.
I thought he was like adopted though. Didn't he like grow up with her though?
He grew up with her, but they weren't like related. They had a romance.
It's weird, dude. I don't know why. I'm horrible with names typically, but I can remember the names of most of the assassins, like Altair, Ezio, Connor, Arno Victor Dorian. What's his name from Black Flag?
Edward
Kenway. But everything beyond Arno, I can't remember. I never played the British one. Yeah, Bayek.
Oh, that was Ellie, and I think that was the last true Assassin's Creed game. Syndicate.
Yeah, London.
Yeah,
London.
Because I mean, it was pretty much like it was like Unity, just with a few more RPG things tagged onto it, but it still had that same parkour system. Yeah, they need to. I know I've been banging the same drum for a while now, but they need to go back to these time periods that are set in cities and actually have the assassinations be the focal point of the game.
Yeah, and like throw a Dishonored spin on there. Exactly. You gotta like really take a careful approach to your targets.
Yes. Don't make it feel as clunky. Bring back the slick parkour system. I think one of the main things that is just bums me out about these new Assassin's Creed games, and Immortals Fenyx Rising has really made it clear to me, is that traversing in Fenyx Rising is engaging and fun because of the stamina bar, kind of like it was in Breath of the Wild, but you are more agile in Fenyx Rising than in Breath of the Wild. Like you're able to double jump and do all these like platforming things, but also have to keep an eye on the stamina gauge to climb these big towers and stuff. Like just like in Assassin's Creed, there are 4 areas in Fenyx Rising that you have to climb to the top of these massive statues to kind of reveal all the quests and stuff. And those are fun to climb because you're not just holding a button down and pushing forward.
Yeah, you're Spider-Man in Valhalla, dude.
Yeah, like it's
climbing the tower
ridiculous.
itself is a journey.
Yeah, it's not
I mean,
fun.
you can literally climb anything from any direction without any problem.
Yeah, it's not fun. There's no thought to it. And there was no thought to it or anything to it in the previous Assassin's Creed games because you really didn't even have to climb anything that tall. Like you were just climbing up buildings and stuff. Like once you got to the top of the building, that's where you ran. There's nothing like that in these new Assassin's Creed games. Like the towns and stuff are these there's 10 mud huts and stuff. And you're just like, there's no reason to climb them or anything. Like that entire parkour side of Assassin's Creed has just been forgotten about. It's almost non-existent at this point.
It's kind of sad.
Yeah.
No, I'm bummed. I don't want to play Valhalla.
Yeah. Valhalla is a good RPG. It's not a good Assassin's Creed game.
Yeah. It's so strange what it is now.
Yeah.
I bet if you ask someone back when they were playing Assassin's Creed 1, of course they probably wouldn't think there would be 10 sequels after the first one, but even then they probably would have never thought.
You know what's ironic, dude? I still would prefer combat similar to 1 and 2 versus what we have now in Assassin's Creed. Even though it is very repetitive, there's something about countering an attack and having a cool stab animation to finish a guy is just cool to me.
I wonder if that's true though. I wonder if we played both of the games back to back right now, if you would still feel that way.
Also,
I
very
bet you it feels
spoiled
clunky.
too. I think Tsushima spoiled me for the foreseeable future with melee combat.
Tsushima is, if they're going to do this open world RPG crap, at least make it as good as Tsushima. They're just that game just blew Valhalla out of the water before it even came out.
Mm-hmm.
Just ideally, Assassin's Creed needs to be open world third person Dishonored, to be quite frank.
Absolutely.
With you. That's what it needs to be.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, that sounds so cool to me.
We're in agreement on that.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, I think that's going to wrap it up for a very lengthy but well overdue episode of the podcast. 253. Love you boys to death, and love all of you, and thank you for tuning in and just your support, even in the weeks where we are absent. We love connecting with you guys on Discord, on Twitter, the occasional YouTube. I've thought about making some YouTube videos recently. I may crank out some stuff for Cyberpunk, we'll see. But I meant to say the couch co-op video Jacob and I did that we had talked about, I just totally lost the audio for, and I'm like, I'm not even going to bother editing this. So that's not coming up.
You.
There's a little tease. But if you guys have enjoyed listening to this podcast, wherever you're listening, just know that it's available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, YouTube, all those big hitters for podcast services. And of course, we are on social media at ItsObviousGaming across the board. And have a Discord channel that you probably heard us mention at least once. If you've listened to this for a while, the Discord channel is our main hub where everyone hangs out. And we strongly encourage you to join there if you even remotely enjoy our content. Because just hilarious, amazing, talented, interesting, down-to-earth, awesome people are on our Discord. And we connect weekly. So we invite you to join us. And don't be afraid to say hello because everyone's very welcoming. And yeah, we love you all to bits, and we look forward to doing this again, especially at the tail end of the year with Game Awards, Cyberpunk, and all that good stuff.
Oh yeah, I'm really excited to talk about our personal game of the years. Really excited to watch the Game Awards, I guess, on Thursday. And better yet, really excited to play Cyberpunk this Wednesday night. I think it's coming out digitally, so that's when I'll be playing.
Yes, sir.
Dang, I'm gonna be out
had a
of
good
town
time with
this
you
week.
guys.
I didn't realize it comes out that soon.
Yeah, I think it launches 7 Wednesday night at 7.
Oh, dude. Dang
Just
it.
strange.
I'm going to be out of town Wednesday through Saturday.
Oh, no.
Oh, that's
So,
a bummer.
I'll be late to the party in Cyberpunk, but it is what it is.
It is what it is. But had a good time with you guys. Hope
Likewise.
you have great weeks.
Yes, sir. You too.
Alrighty, boys.
Alrighty.
Later.
Till next time.
Bye-bye.
See ya.